Back in Paul Brown Stadium, unseasonably warm evening here in the Queen City, 61 degrees as we approach kickoff. Here's the playoff picture of the AFC. As we mentioned, the Steelers with a win tonight would get to 10-2, match New England for the best record in the AFC. They'll play in 2 weeks in Pittsburgh. Meanwhile, the Bengals with a win tonight would get to 6-6, and they would be at the top of that four-way tie at 6-6 in terms of the tiebreakers. Cincinnati won the toss and deferred, so Pittsburgh will receive the opening kickoff. Martavis Bryant back deep for the Steelers. They have struggled returning kickoffs this year. They're last in the NFL in kickoff return average. Pittsburgh's won the last 5 head-to-head against Cincinnati, including a game at Heinz Field on October 22nd. Randy Bullock kicks off. We're underway at about an 11-mile-per-hour wind at his back. And Bryant takes a knee. So here's Ben Roethlisberger, Ohio native, back in his home state from Findlay, Ohio, and Miami University. 12 interceptions, are tied for third most in the NFL, but 5 of those came in a disastrous home loss to Jacksonville. And he has been outstanding since. 14 touchdown passes since that game. And only 5 interceptions and a passer rating of 103. Steelers have started quickly in the last 2 weeks, opening drive touchdowns against both Tennessee and Green Bay, and some movement along the end of the line.
Full start, number 45, offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Walt Anderson, the referee. Roosevelt Nix, the fullback. Move. The offensive line, one of the best in football. Pouncey and DeCastro, Pro Bowl players and first-round picks. The other 3 were all undrafted out of college, but it's a terrific unit. The big story during the warm-up tonight, Antonio Brown, leading receiver in the league in yards. He missed practice time this week with an injured right big toe, and he was clearly not running very well during the warm-up. He's wide to the left of Roethlisberger, who hands it off to Le'Veon Bell. And he powers out across the 25-yard line, got the penalty yardage back, plus a foot.
Le'Veon Bell. They are going to call his number repeatedly. You hear feature back. That term is thrown around the league, and he wears that tag perfectly. Over 28 touches a game. He can hurt you real bad as a runner and a receiver, and the man never tires.
In his 5th year out of Michigan State, also an excellent receiver with 61 catches. Only Carolina's Christian McCaffrey has more receptions among running backs in the NFL. Roethlisberger on target, so much for the sore foot. Antonio Brown the catch for a first down out to the 45-yard line.
Amazing. These are not easy throws. This is a fly stop. Brown against Adam Jones, and I think Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger could do that in their sleep. It is a thing of beauty watching Antonio Brown work. He can run all the routes. He's not running bubble screens and quick screens. This man is running any route you can dream up from any position on the field.
And in recent years, Cincinnati's done a good job containing Antonio Brown. Here's Bell, who got stood up after a gain to the 48, a pickup of 3. Let's head down to the field. Here's Lisa.
Hey, Sean. Well, Antonio Brown posted a picture of his swollen right big toe on Instagram today. He's apparently been on anti-inflammatories to try to bring the swelling down. But when he came out pregame to test the toe out, it was clear it's still bothering him. He ran a few routes, appeared to favor his right foot on all of them. I said to him after, hey, it still looks a little sore. And he said, it's very sore. Sean.
Keep an eye on that throughout the night. Play fake to Le'Veon Bell. Roethlisberger. I don't know if he was hit as he threw it or the ball slipped out of his hand, but an awkward throw that hit the turf.
We're down.
And a surprise, coach, they're huddling here in the opening series. Here's a look at the last play.
Geno Atkins getting some penetration, and it's a good call. Incomplete pass. Specialty pass rushers on the field for the Bengals. Will they come after Roethlisberger? That seemed to be the theme of things on the practice field.
These are two of the best pass rushing teams in the league. Bengals have 33 sacks, 6 most in the league. They blitz up the middle with Perfect. Roethlisberger throws an interception, sidestepped the rush, but then it was picked off by Adam Jones. And he's writhing in pain as the ball came out, and the Bengals got it back as Carlos Dunlap fell on it. There is a flag down to the 50-yard line.
Vontaze Burfict applies the pressure with Darqueze Dennard, and Roethlisberger just threw his 7th interception on 3rd down. Take a look at the right side of your screen. You'll see Dennard and 55 Burfict applying the pressure.
The ruling on the field is an interception. After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Pittsburgh, number 26, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Well, it doesn't take long for this to get started. And this time, Burfict was the victim. Le'Veon Bell called for the penalty. We spoke with Vontaze Burfict yesterday. I mean, we've seen him involved in a lot of stuff over the years on the field, John. Off the field, you can't even believe it's the same guy.
No, and that's a credit to Vontaze Burfict, what he just did there. That's a sign of a pro. You got to walk away, and he knows that the Steelers are going to bait him into penalties. Great job by Burfict walking away. Foolish penalty by Bell.
Burfict says he knows he has to stay under control. Marvin Lewis said he can't go over to the dark side. Well, he did a good job there maintaining his composure. And the penalty on Bell means that Cincinnati starts at the Pittsburgh 44, led by Andy Dalton. 30-year-old, 7-year veteran out of TCU. Throws a wobbler, but it's caught down the middle to the 25-yard line. Tyler Kroft, the tight end, with a first down on a 19-yard gain.
They come after him with a crazy blitz off the right side. It's picked up. Andy hung in there nicely, and there's Tyler Kroft, who's done an excellent job picking up the slack for Tyler Eifert, who's out.
Back surgery for Eifert, gone for the year. One of the best pass receiving tight ends in the NFL. Brandon LaFell went in motion, 3 wide receivers. And Giovanni Bernard, now their backup running back, is the lone back. And he gets the call of a nice hole off the left side of an improving offensive line. They really struggled to start the year, but in recent weeks, noticeable signs of improvement. That's a 5-yard gain.
They've got some good backs. Giovanni Bernard been awful quiet, just 120 yards coming in tonight. But when you have Giovanni Bernard and Joe Mixon, you can do a lot of creative things, and keep an eye on Bernard. They love to use him in the passing game, and he's very good on screens.
He has been supplanted as their lead back by the rookie Joe Mixon, who's looking on from the sideline right now.
Hey, let's go L90, L90. Green 18. Guys, help.
On 2nd and 5, plenty of time for Dalton. They're short of the first down on the catch by the rookie Josh Malone, 4th-round pick out of Tennessee. And Ryan Shazier, the leader of this Pittsburgh defense, is not getting up.
It's a shallow cross. You're going to see Shazier, the middle linebacker, break on the ball and went in there with his head down, and that's never a good thing.
And as they tend to Ryan Shazier will step aside. No score early in the first quarter. We're back in Cincinnati. As you can see, Ryan Shazier still on the field. They've brought a board onto the field to carry him off. And not to be an alarmist, John, but I don't think anybody has seen his legs move at all since the hit. He immediately grabbed for his middle of his back, was able to roll over onto his back, but his legs really have not moved from that position since he's been on the ground.
A lot of concern and prayers right now for Ryan Shazier, who's such a great player and one of the great Pittsburgh Steelers.
Had a chance to visit with him yesterday. Very likable, intelligent young man out of Ohio State. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Medical personnel continuing to attend to Ryan Shazier, the leading tackler for the Pittsburgh Steelers. John, it's very, as we said at the top of the telecast, very physical and nasty rivalry, but that was just a man trying to make a tackle who unfortunately wasn't well positioned to make the tackle.
And it's really been the talk of the league. You know, you never go in there with the crown of the helmet, try to keep the helmet out of tackling, and all you can do is hope and pray that Ryan Shazier is okay.
When he first rolled over onto his back, you could see him squeezing his hand as if he was trying to see if he had feeling in his arm and hand. We spoke with Ben Roethlisberger last night about this rivalry. Andy Dalton over there to wish Shazier well. He talked about how intense this AFC North is. He said when they played the Baltimore Ravens, they anticipate smash-mouth physical football, but there's a respect. When you hit somebody hard, generally they help each other up. Said this Cincinnati rivalry has gone a little bit off the edge, and he said last night, I worry about players getting injured on both sides when this game is played because sometimes it crosses the line. Again, that had nothing to do with the history between these two teams. And we'll obviously get you an update as soon as we can on Ryan Shazier. The play resumes and the clock runs now. 11:05 to go. First quarter, 3rd down and 2. For Cincinnati, Steelers crowding the line of scrimmage. It's a blitz, and it's a pass that's incomplete. Intended for A.J. Green with Artie Burns in coverage, and the field goal team comes on for the Bengals.
Well, they're going to drop the defensive end and bring Shazier's replacement, Tyler Matakevich. Great pickup by Bernard, and credit Artie Burns, second-year corner out of Miami, Florida, with great coverage on A.J. Green. That's how it's done.
So here's Randy Bullock trying a 35-yard field goal. Kevin Huber, the punter, is the holder, and that kick is good. And Cincinnati is on the board first. The turnover and the terrific field position that came with it leads to 3 points from Marvin Lewis and the Bengals. NFL players are lacing up, letting their cleats do the talking as part of My Cause, My Cleats. Players are supporting charitable causes important to them through cleats that are custom designed and inspired by their causes. You can discover the stories behind the cleats and bid on players' special edition cleats at NFL.com/MyCauseMyCleats. So many of these players involved in great causes, many of them involved in many charitable endeavors. Todd Haley, the offensive coordinator in his 6th year, talking about the next possession with Ben Roethlisberger. Again, surprised that they huddled as much as they did, given all the success they've had in recent weeks with the no huddle. Bullock, another deep kickoff with the wind at his back. And Martavis Bryant takes a knee.
There's Paul Gunther, very good defensive coordinator of the Bengals. Multiple coverages, multiple disguises. Hasn't been blitzing a lot, but in that last possession, he brings an overload on the left side. And they got to Ben Roethlisberger. They fooled him. Never saw Adam Jones with a huge interception. But Paul Gunther, a very good coach that comes into every game with a couple blitzes that you have not seen and you cannot prepare for. Keep an eye on that as this game unfolds.
Gunther doesn't blitz much. Lowest rate of any team in the league, and that really has been the case throughout Paul's 4 years as the defensive coordinator. John says, been a nice job. Took over Mike Zimmer when he left to go to the Vikings as head coach. His defense stacks up Le'Veon Bell. Darquez Dennard in on the stop. George Iloka, the safety, up there as well.
And here we go in a no-huddle offense. Ben Roethlisberger is going to call a formation. He's not calling a play right now. He's calling a formation, and he's going to take a look at the Cincinnati Bengals. And he'll use most of this clock to decipher what he thinks the coverage is, and then he'll get to the best play possible.
Adam Jones not on the field for Cincinnati. A groin injury. Questionable as to his return. Likely hurt on that interception. And he was slow to get up into a crowd and caught by Antonio Brown. First down Pittsburgh at the 39-yard line with Dre Kirkpatrick in coverage.
Well, Roethlisberger does an excellent job veering to his right. Just great confidence in his ability to throw the football in tight windows. And there's Antonio Brown on a square in, making a difficult traffic reception.
11-yard gain. Great blocking, and the pass on target to the impressive rookie Juju Smith-Schuster.
Well, you're not kidding.
Across to the 46-yard line. Sorry, Coach.
No, you are exactly right. I get excited watching this man out of USC, just a rookie. He's playing 4 or 5 different positions, and being in a no-huddle offense with a guy like Ben Roethlisberger doesn't faze him a bit.
Youngest player in the league. He just turned 21, did Smith-Schuster. Left guard Ramon Foster is the tapper to signal Pouncey when to snap it, but sometimes it's a dummy tap. Roethlisberger on target. Tumbling catch made by Brown. Managing to succeed on a very sore toe. First down to the Cincy 45.
It's what he's looking for. He sees a single safety. He knows it's man-to-man. He took all the time needed to get to the proper route. And Antonio Brown off to a hot start. But try making that catch at home. Sideline drills, one-handed catches. He could be in a circus.
On 1st and 10, Martavis Bryant trying to break tackles, and he's wrestled down. Darquez Dennard trying to pull the ball out. William Jackson in on the play as well. We talked about Antonio Brown establishing himself as one of the best receivers in the history of the league. He now has 564 receptions over the last 5 seasons, and obviously a lot of season left now, and that is the most receptions in a 5-year span, any 5-year span in the history of the NFL. The mark was held by the Hall of Famer Marvin Harrison. It seems obvious that someday Brown will join him in Canton. And a deep throw intended for Brown and almost intercepted, closer to Kirkpatrick than it was to Antonio Brown.
I like Dre Kirkpatrick, former #1 pick out of Alabama. He can play a lot of different coverages. Here he's rolled up. He has help over the top. He sunk underneath this corner route, made a nice play. And that's why he was awarded a $52 million contract to be the left corner of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Matched up now with Martavis Bryant. Smith-Schuster, the motion man, and Brown one-on-one to the top of your screen on 3rd down and 7. Not in field goal range right now for Chris Boswell as they operate into about a 10-mile-per-hour wind. All day for Roethlisberger, and the pass deflected at the line of scrimmage, and it falls incomplete.
Chris Smith, number 94, the ex-Jacksonville Jaguar. It's his hand up there and rejects that Roethlisberger pass. So far, Cincinnati doing an excellent job, Sean, disguising coverages, keeping Ben Roethlisberger guessing.
Alex Erickson back deep. Cincinnati, one of the best punt return teams in the league. And a fair catch made by Erickson near the 15-yard line. Monday Night Football from Cincinnati. The Bengals on top 3-0.
Well, Welcome back to Cincinnati. Steelers linebacker Ryan Shazier, who was injured earlier in this first quarter. We're now getting an update from Pittsburgh that Shazier has been taken to the hospital. He left the arena of the stadium just a short while ago by ambulance. We are told that he is being evaluated for a back injury. His status is unavailable. Guys.
All right, Lisa, thank you. On first down, Dalton on target. C.J. Uzama, the backup tight end, just his 4th catch of the year. Out to the 36. That's a gain of 21. Well, obviously, John, lead up to the game, big game for both teams, spirited rivalry, and then Shazier, obviously, what looked to be a serious injury just 4 minutes in. If you're Mike Tomlin now and the coach of the Steelers, how do you handle this with your team?
Well, this is just terrible, and you can't hide your emotions. You want to win the game, you want to make adjustments, but the reality is you love your players and you love Ryan Shazier, and you're distracted, and there's nothing you can do about that.
A.J. Green the catch. Cody Sensabaugh made the tackle.
But Mike Tomlin, one of the great leaders that I know, he has dealt with a lot of adversity in his career as a coach. They had the Le'Veon Bell holdout. They had the issue with the national anthem. They had an issue with Martavis Bryant. And if anybody can lead a football team in this kind of adversity, it's Mike Tomlin. And he'll rely on Cameron Hayward and his captains to help him respond. But let's pray for Shazier.
Absolutely. I think everybody in the stadium is. And those watching as well. Joe Mixon, the ball carrier. And some extracurriculars at the end of that play. He's down about 2.5 yards short of a first down. Here's a look at the Bengals offense. They are last in the NFL in total offense. Early in the year, the line really struggled, particularly at tackle with Obuehi and Smith. They lost a couple of veterans from that offensive line of a year ago. And Joe Mixon getting better week to week. He's become the #1 running back, the rookie out of Oklahoma. 3rd down, the short 3 for Cincinnati. And the catch made far sideline. And it's a first down. Catch made by Brandon LaFell, taken out of bounds by Cody Sensabaugh.
That's good timing by Andy Dalton. Dalton is an outstanding shotgun quarterback. Another blitz. You see Bernard slide across Dalton, but what a throw. Pinpoint accuracy and timing, and LaFell, the only man on this Bengal football team to participate in a Super Bowl, has become a real quality leader for the Bengals.
He was a part of New England's Super Bowl 49 win over Seattle. Sure-handed receiver. That's 75 straight catches without a drop, most in the league among wide receivers. Josh Malone, his 2nd catch. He got rocked but held on to the 42 for a gain of 7. And here's a look at the Pittsburgh defense, 4th in the league in scoring defense, giving up just 17.5 points per game. And as Cameron Hayward, their outstanding defensive lineman, said, lots of talent at all levels of the defense. Lots of 1st and 2nd round picks, including Artie Burns, the corner, their 1st round pick a year ago. Sean Davis, the safety, in his 2nd year out of Maryland, a 2nd round pick last year. There's Mixon, dragged down by Tyler Matakevich, who's in for Ryan Shazier. First down to the Pittsburgh 33.
This man is exciting. He explodes off the right side, bounces it, and picks up the first down. Mixon, over 100 yards last week against the Cleveland Browns, and his best day as a pro.
2nd round pick out of Oklahoma, the 4th running back selected in this year's draft, behind Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey, and Dalvin Cook. To Jacksonville, Carolina, and Minnesota, respectively. Mixon cuts back, nifty run, and he's close to another first down, just shy of the 23-yard line.
Tyler Matakevich in here replacing Shazier, struggling versus Mixon on this cutback. And Joe Mixon, boy, does he look the part. Electrifying talent. He can catch the football, and he is really making a quick transition to being an I-formation tailback. Remember, at Oklahoma, he was in an offset position in the shotgun.
Averaging just 3.3 yards per carry. But getting better week to week. He's coming off a career high 114 yards rushing In their win against Cleveland last week, he has a Bengal first down at the 20-yard line.
It's an impressive drive. Bill Lazor, the new offensive coordinator, took over early in the season under tough circumstances.
For sure. They didn't score a touchdown in their first 2 games, both at home. They were the first team since the 1939 Eagles to open the season with 2 home games and not score a touchdown in those 2 games. So Ken Zampese replaced by Bill Lazor, who had been the quarterback coach. Fake to Alex Erickson, and Dalton takes off running and scampers out of bounds with a first down inside the 10.
Andy Dalton, he did it at TCU, and he's doing it as an NFL quarterback. He's done it for 7 years. I don't know if he's going to give the ball to Erickson or Erickson clamped it, but they're going to read the defensive end Moats here, in man on the line. Dalton pulled it out of Erickson's chest and used Erickson as the lead blocker. I don't think that play was diagrammed that way, but heads up football by Andy Dalton.
Hey,
11-yard gain for Dalton. First and goal from just inside the 10. Dalton fires a bullet incomplete, looking for A.J. Green.
Deshaun, A.J. Green right into double coverage, and that's where Andy Dalton's gotten in trouble. As many touchdowns as these 2 men have connected on, there's just too many interceptions and no chance throws. I think Tyler Kroft should have seen the ball there, but on this second down and goal, keep an eye on Tyler Matakevich, the middle backer of the Steelers. Not only has he got to make plays, he's got to get these Steeler teammates lined up.
24 quarters in a row scoring fewer than 10 points. Chance to get to 10 here. They get a touchdown, the extra point. Nothing doing for Mixon. Tackled by Mike Hilton, and it's third down and goal for Marvin Lewis and the Bengals.
Boy, Mike Hilton, I call him a nail, a nickel corner. He's blitzed off the edge more than any man in football. I think he leads the NFL in corner blitzes. Undrafted out of Mississippi. What a find he has been for this Steeler defense. 48 times he's come.
And playing without starting safety Mike Mitchell tonight. Robert Golden started for him. Mitchell's out with an ankle injury. On third and goal, wide open, touchdown, A.J. Green.
Said it in a pregame, that's the man they have to get going. And A.J. Green going to work against the backup corner, Cody Sensabaugh. Joe Hayden still out with the fractured fibula. And teams have gone to work on Sensabaugh. And when you play one-on-one coverage against A.J. Green, I don't care who you are, good luck.
8-yard touchdown pass to A.J. Green. 6-time Pro Bowler, the only wide receiver in the history of the league to make the Pro Bowl in each of his first 6 years. Bullock adds the extra point. So after 24 straight quarters without scoring 10 points or more, they end the longest such active streak in the NFL. Andy Dalton, the Red Rifles, now thrown 51 touchdown passes to A.J. Green. They came into the league together in 2011. They're the 24th duo in NFL history to hook up 50 touchdowns through the air. But as John mentioned, from time to time it doesn't work as well. Dalton's thrown 35 interceptions throughout his career. When targeting Green, that's by far the most for any duo since 2011. Bill Lazor and Andy Dalton, good start for the Bengals.
No doubt, and Andy Dalton has been very careful with the football, hasn't thrown an interception in a long time, and I think they're gaining confidence. I think they lost their confidence after those first 2 games, and everybody got shell-shocked a little bit, but they are clearly gaining confidence, and it shows tonight.
85-yard touchdown drive, 12 plays, took more than 6.5 minutes. They had 6 first downs on the drive. Martavis Bryant takes a knee again. ESPN's Monday Night Football from Cincinnati, brought to you by those that live like a pro, GMC. Final minute of the first quarter. 61 yards of offense so far for Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers. Pac-Man Jones not on the field. As a matter of fact, he's now out of his uniform. He will not return tonight with that groin injury. Martavis Bryant, the catch. Drake Kirkpatrick had the coverage, but it's good for a 15-yard gain and a first down.
I don't know how you stop Ben Roethlisberger. He sees the single safety. You see him lift his hands in the air. He says, can it, can it, can it? I'll throw the ball against one-on-one coverage. And with this offensive line, these receivers, and this quarterback, don't forget about Le'Veon Bell. Hard outfit to stop. If he reads your mail, it's over.
Bell the lone back. John mentioned he averages more than 28 touches per game, has just 3 in the first quarter, and it's now the end of the first quarter.
Yeah.
Cincinnati leads 10-0 Monday Night Football from the Queen City. Back in Cincinnati, one of the great landmarks of this city, the Roebling Bridge, spanning the Ohio River, connecting Ohio and Kentucky. Gorgeous night. There is the chance of rain here before the game is over. The temperature got up into the mid-60s here in Cincinnati today. 10-0 Bengals after a quarter. 1st and 10 Pittsburgh from its own 40. And Le'Veon Bell ahead for 5.
Cincinnati Bengals playing 3 rookies right now on defense. 98, Ryan Glasgow. He's a defensive lineman. There's number 50, Jordan Evans. And at right corner, number 22, William Jackson's really a rookie because he missed all of last year with a pec injury. But when you hear draft and develop here in Cincinnati, they ain't kidding. They play these men year in, year out.
Cincinnati without its leading tackler tonight, Nick Vigil, out with an ankle injury. Another linebacker, Vincent Ray, also out. Roethlisberger lofts one up deep for Bryant. And it looked like it went through his hands with Drake Kirkpatrick in coverage.
What a play by Kirkpatrick. Man who's really come into his own here in Cincinnati. It's a straight go ball, and Martavis Bryant has made a lot of plays down the field. Great job at the last second. And these corners are going to have to pick up their play without Adam Jones, who's clearly out of this game.
Had a big interception to set up their first score, a field goal. But an injured groin has Jones on the sideline. He didn't play at all in their loss at Pittsburgh earlier in the year. Sidelined in that game with a back injury. 3rd down and 5. Roethlisberger sacked back at the 35-yard line by Carlos Dunlap, one of the great sack men in Bengals history.
Well, he's tied for number 2 all time, and it's these different fronts. They show a blitz at the bottom of the screen, and they put Dunlap inside, and they use a line stunt. Ramon Foster, number 73, no match for Dunlap, who came screaming around the corner for the sack.
62.5 career sacks for the 8-year veteran, tied with Reggie Williams. As John said, 2nd all-time for the Bengals, behind only Eddie Edwards. Flagged down as Alex Erickson fielded the Jordan Berry punt. And he brought it back to the 21-yard line. And now there's another late flag thrown along the Cincinnati sideline. Robert Golden made the coverage. 53-yard punt, a return of 11. Here's Walt Anderson. Walt a little slow with the announcement, conferring with his fellow officials, including the line judge Byron Boston, who was most involved in the conversation.
Maybe he knows that it's Jerry Austin's birthday today.
Yes. Happy birthday, Jerry Austin, our referee in the booth.
There are multiple fouls on the receiving team. Holding number 40 of the receiving team. That penalty is declined. Unsportsmanlike conduct number 22 of the receiving team, blocking a player out of bounds. Half the distance to the goal. It will be 1st down. Timeout.
That was that late flag along the Bengals sideline against William Jackson. ESPN is in the midst of V-Week, raising funds and awareness for cancer research. For more information, go to ESPN.com/V-Week. Sean McDonough, John Gruden, Lisa Salters, our producer Jay Rothman, our director Chip Dean, our terrific ESPN Monday Night Football crew. Delighted to have you with us. Bengals leading 10-0. Their worst field position of the night, backed up by the penalty at their own 5-yard line. Andy Dalton under center with Joe Mixon, the running back. And a hard-earned 2 yards for Mixon, tackled by Cody Sensabaugh.
And very important for this Steeler defense to get a 3-and-out stop. One of the things I love about this defense is they've been able to get off the field in a 3-and-out fashion, as well as any group in football, and they need to field position right now to set up their offense.
Yeah, let's go jack up. Ralph Stewart, jack up. No short. Heavy. Heads up.
On 2nd and 8, Dalton short throw, Croft first down. Lunging ahead to the 19-yard line.
Good pass protection by the Bengals in a backed up situation. They have a right tackle, Cedric Ogbuehi, who has struggled. Give him some help. Put a back on that side. You're going to see right side of your screen, Joe Mixon helping out his right tackle, and that body presence, Rondre Smith, I should say, is very, very important.
Time for Dalton, and a man open down the middle. Nicely done. A.J. Green, the reception at the 35. Another Cincinnati first down.
This is great anticipation. Watch how early he throws this ball before A.J.'s head even turns around. That's why Andy Dalton has been to the Pro Bowl, and that's why A.J. Green, 6 straight Pro Bowls. Hard to stop anticipation and timing between guys that have done it together a long time.
Dalton has had to throw it quickly for a lot of the year. Part because of the bad protection, but a lot of their passing game is the short and intermediate routes. Joe Mixon tackled by Stephon Tuitt. A moment ago on the Steelers sideline, we saw longtime Steeler general manager Kevin Colbert with the medical staff trying to get as much information as he can about Ryan Shazier. If you joined us late, the Steelers' terrific linebacker, injured while making a tackle, immobilized. It did not appear that his legs were moving. He's been taken from the stadium to a local hospital via ambulance. We are told by the Steelers PR folks there will not be any immediate updates to his situation, and obviously tremendous concern. Here's Mixon running free. Flag down back of the line of scrimmage. A couple of flags, in fact. Big gainer if it stands, but it's thrown where you expect a holding call on the offense. The play went to the 41-yard line of Pittsburgh.
Well, Tyler Matakevich, number 44, got held.
Holding, number 61, offense. 10-yard penalty, still second down.
Draw play, and you're going to see Matakevich at linebacker get held here by the center, Russell Bodine. And a big penalty indeed. Bengals have had back-to-back games where they have not turned the ball over and they have not committed penalties, but 2 on a special teams play and that holding call not going to help you against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
The 2 turnover-free games in a row for Cincinnati. Not surprisingly, both of them wins at Denver and here at home last week against Cleveland. Just 7 penalties combined in those 2 games. Dalton, short pass. LaFell taken down around the waist by Matakevich out of Temple, second-year player who's in for Shazier.
I like what Bill Lazor, the offensive coordinator, has done tonight. They've been balanced. 7 different receivers already. multiple different formations. No backs, two backs. Done an excellent job. And he's been able to get A.J. Green going, which is always critical to the Bengals.
He took over in game 3. They breathed a sigh of relief as a team when they scored on their opening drive against Green Bay, with Laser calling the plays after they did not have a touchdown in their first 2 games. Steeler blitz didn't get there. A wobbly pass batted out of the air by Cody Sensabaugh.
Well, defensive coordinator Keith Butler brought one of his overload zone blitzes that's been around Pittsburgh for a long time. You're going to see an overload on the right side. Cincinnati picks it up. But it's too deep zone behind it. And that's the problem with these Steelers, Sean. You could pick up the blitz, but sometimes you don't know what coverage you're throwing into. Good work by Pittsburgh.
Kevin Huber, one of the best punters in Bengals history, in his 9th season at the University of Cincinnati. Fair catch signaled by Eli Rogers. Often it's Antonio Brown back there, but they're not putting him back there tonight with the toe injury. 44-yard punt. 10-0 Bengals second quarter. Tomorrow night, the 23rd annual Jimmy V Classic from Madison Square Garden. 2 very attractive matchups, 2 of the best teams in the country. Number 4 Villanova, number 12 Gonzaga. That's at 7. And then the old Big East rivals, no longer in the same conference, Syracuse and UConn at 9. Both games on ESPN.
Remember that 6 overtime game a few years ago?
Yeah, that was awesome.
I still think about that game.
That was right there at Madison Square Garden, the old Big East tournament. Syracuse and UConn. Great games in college basketball history. Still a spirited rivalry. Trying to set up a screen to Le'Veon Bell, and Carlos Dunlap got in the way.
Carlos Dunlap gets in the way a lot, Sean. He batted 14 passes down a year ago. That's his 3rd ball this year that he's batted down, and he's just a great athlete. Has been for a long time, and he has really come into his own. He tipped one and intercepted it, ran it back to beat the Colts.
Yeah, game-winning touchdown the 4th quarter. Their win over Indianapolis. Can they get Bell involved? Just 4 rushes. Now 5, and they're ready for him. It's a 2-yard gain before he's driven back.
Oh. Marquez Denard and Vontez Perfect patiently wait for Bell on the cutback. Vontez Perfect sees it, falls back, and if it's wiggling, he's hitting it, believe me. Heart and soul of the Bengals, and on 3rd down and 8, what's it going to be?
Crowd back fully engaged. Steelers haven't converted on 3rd down. A late blitz that didn't get there, and Bryant has the catch. And a first down. Martavis Bryant out near the 30-yard line with George Iloka a little too late in coverage.
Roethlisberger just got that off. You're going to see on the left side of your screen. Blitz comes clean, and he gets hit. Nice throw by Roethlisberger. Much needed first down. See if that ignites the Steelers.
Bell, so patient. He's out to the 34-yard line, back in his home state. He's just from up the road in the Columbus, Ohio area.
Look at this patience. He almost comes to a complete stop. He's like you, figuring out which soda to get. He is so patient, and he sets up his blocks, and when he sees it, he hits it.
Patience is one of my best virtues, right after humility, I think. 3.1 seconds. The highest among all running backs. That's Darquez Denard, the injured player. But he's patient. Joe Mixon has mimicked that style to the point where it almost annoyed Le'Veon Bell after their meeting earlier in the year. On Twitter, they had a little back and forth. Le'Veon Bell said, "You run like me, now you're even dressing like me." Had one of those sleeves on his arm that was similar to what Le'Veon Bell wears. Week 7. Bengals see the outfit and the mixed match gloves on Le'Veon Bell, and next week Joe Mixon had the same outfit, similar gesture.
It's flattery. I mean, you'd be flattered by that. I mean, if I mimicked you, wouldn't you be flattered?
Imitation is supposedly a form of flattery, and Joe Mixon, when they played the last time, you mentioned it, Bell had 35 carries. Mixon had 7, all in the first half. And Mixon said after the game, well, if I got the ball more, I could do everything that Le'Veon Bell did, maybe even more. Bell didn't like that. The coaches didn't like it either. Mixon said he knew it was the wrong thing to say. He was just frustrated. Denard now walking off under his own power.
This is a very important man, Denard, who has come into his own as the nickel corner for the Bengals. And they've already lost Adam Jones now, and you don't want to lose too many corners against Ben Roethlisberger because he likes to throw 3 great receivers at you. And right now it's Antonio Bryan at the bottom of the screen, and Schuster Smith is in the slot, and it's Martavis Bryant upstairs. 3 good ones.
Josh Shaw has come onto the field, number 26. Third-year defensive back out of USC. 2nd and 6 Steelers. Bell again patient, in part because there really wasn't a hole there. And he's 2 yards short of the first down with another big 3rd down upcoming for the Steelers more than midway through the second quarter.
And look at Ben Roethlisberger continuing to go to work in a no-huddle offense. He told us last night, I'm not getting much help from Todd Haley. I'm on my own. He gets me ready all week, and when game day comes, I'm going to use my snap count to survey the defense. I'll get to what I think is best.
Out of the gun on 3rd down and 2. Roethlisberger over the middle and over the head of Antonio Brown, who didn't seem to see the ball coming, and now Roethlisberger a little hot at one of his teammates.
Well, they're talking about it. He saw single safety. He went after Will Jackson, and Bryant and Roethlisberger not on the same page. And remember, Bryant missed all week in practice. They weren't sure he was going to play. But that's uncommon where you see 2 great players on a critical 3rd down not on the same page. Antonio Brown.
Jordan Berry on the punt. Alex Erickson back for it. Cincinnati's had 6 punt returns this year of 20 yards or more, most in the league, but no chance to return that one as it sails out of bounds. Roethlisberger and Brown usually on the same page, but not that time, and their offense sputtering so far tonight. Back in Cincinnati, here's the quarterback comparison. Andy Dalton with the upper hand. He hasn't had that very often in this rivalry. He's just 3-10 all time against the Pittsburgh Steelers, as the Bengals have had a very rough time against their division rivals in recent years. Ben Roethlisberger's been great in his home state. He's 13-2 all time in games played here in Cincinnati. After the play fake, gets a screen to Joe Mixon, showing his patience a la Le'Veon Bell. And now he's slow to get up at the 30-yard line.
Well, that was a big collision. Vince Williams and Mixon.
There was a timeout on the field as they take a look at Joe Mixon. No, we welcome you back to Cincinnati with good news. Joe Mixon back on his feet. Walked off the field under his own power, and now will go into the medical tent for an evaluation. Undoubtedly, he'll go through the concussion protocol. So Giovanni Bernard is the running back. They don't have a lot of depth at running back. Jeremy Hill elected to have ankle surgery a few weeks ago. On target the throw to A.J. Green from Andy Dalton, and it's a Cincinnati first down to the 36-yard line. So really the only experienced running back is Bernard. They have Mixon, the rookie, and they do have Brian Hill active tonight, a rookie out of Wyoming, but he doesn't have any career rushes or receptions.
And he better be ready, because Bernard, who had a terrible injury last year, a knee injury, just now getting in to playing form.
He moved in motion back to the right hip of Andy Dalton. Big hole. Bernard straight ahead and lunges close to a first down across the 45-yard line.
When Giovanni Bernard comes in the game, the running plays are different. There's a lot of these running plays with built-in pass options, and they let Mixon take the downhill runs, and when Giovanni Bernard comes in the game, you're going to see a lot of runs that resemble college football.
Bengals have already rushed for 59 yards. Their season average is 75 yards per game. That's last in the NFL.
Let's go 200, Seamer. Open.
They take a shot to Brandon LaFell in the slot. I know that word, steamer.
Second and inches. Deep throw intended for Green. Some contact on the far sideline with Artie Burns. And now a late flag thrown.
Not real complicated. When you see man-to-man in a single safety, you take a shot. I don't see anything there.
Meanwhile, Joe Mixon heading to the Cincinnati locker room.
Personal foul, grabbing the face mask, number 18. Offense, 15-yard penalty. Still second down.
Did not see that.
A big penalty brings the Bengals all the way back to their own 30-yard line. There's his right hand up on the face mask of Artie Burns.
So you think?
I'm trying to do the best I can to help Walt Anderson and his band of merry men. So it's 2nd and 16. We're under 5 minutes to go in the half. Cincinnati on top 10-0. A Pittsburgh 5-man rush and an incomplete pass off the hands of his intended receiver, Tyler Boyd, a Pittsburgh area native who played his college football at the University of Pittsburgh.
They need Boyd to pick it up. You know, these young receivers, Boyd has been a disappointment. John Ross, a man they took with the 9th pick in the draft, isn't even active. He's a healthy scratch, but between Boyd and John Ross, they got to get a lot more mileage out of these young receivers. Be real careful here if you're Andy Dalton, because the Steelers have only given up 3 first downs in 51 attempts in 3rd and 10 plus.
Dalton rolled away from the rush. His throw's on target, and it's a catch for Green and a first down.
Well, I just jinxed Pittsburgh. Andy Dalton rolling to his right, and it's another great sideline concentration catch by A.J. Green.
Wow.
And he had a great one last week against Cleveland, didn't he, Sean?
Indeed he did. 17-yard gain here, 5th catch for Green. It seems like every week we get a debate about who's the best sideline catcher of passes in the league. Last week we saw DeAndre Hopkins was terrific for Houston. The Steelers think Antonio Brown's the best. And Green's pretty good too. Giovanni Bernard into Steeler territory and down inside the 45-yard line, about a yard short of the first down.
I did not see this coming. Hopkins and Bodine. Andre Smith at right tackle. And this is well blocked. I did not see this coming. Physically taking it to the Pittsburgh Steelers on the ground.
Ryan Hewitt lined up as the fullback, led the way.
It's hot. We're good. George 44. Green 18. Heads up.
Flag down. Bernard has the first down. Sean Davis the tackle. And then a little bit of slapping after the play.
It's illegal motion, I believe, on Cincinnati, and terrible penalty, I think, on 2nd and 1.
Illegal shift, number 87, offense, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
C.J. Uzama. Here's Lisa Salters.
Hey, Sean, well, you saw Bengals running back Joe Mixon walking back to their locker room a short while ago. I'm being told that he is being evaluated for both head and shoulder injuries, and his return is questionable, Sean.
Or at least a thank you. As we mentioned, they really don't have any depth. It's just Giovanni Bernard now at running back. Unless they're going to throw the rookie Hill in there. They weren't even sure yesterday he'd be active. The only reason he is because they have room for him with injuries at the linebacker position. Cincinnati calls a timeout. First it has used here in the first half. 3:08 to go till halftime. We're back in 30 seconds after a word from Cognizant. 3:08 to go till the half. The Bengals leading 10-0 after an 0-3 start to this season. With a win tonight, they'd be at 6-6 and very much in the wild card playoff picture in the AFC. Deep throw by Dalton into a crowd and over the head of Brandon LaFell. Of course, it's well known that the Bengals have never won a playoff game in 15 seasons now with Marvin Lewis as the head coach. More and more speculation about his future. That seems to be an annual happening around here. And he was pretty candid when we spoke with him yesterday, John. You almost got the feeling that he is anticipating this is going to be his last year. He said, hey, I was brought here to win championships, and we haven't done that.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I have a lot of respect for him, having coached with him years ago. And hard to find guys that are much better than Marvin Lewis, but we'll see what happens in 4 weeks.
When he got here, they were obviously way down. They had the playoffs 5 years in a row. They had a 6-9-1 season last year. 0-7 under Lewis in the playoffs, hoping to get back to the playoffs this year. Tyler Boyd the catch. First down, Pittsburgh 38.
It's a 3-man rush, and they're going to drop Chickalo and Andy Dalton. Pinpoint accurate. He has thrown the ball with great timing, anticipation. He's been accurate. They've changed the launching spot. Been impressive.
Dalton 14 out of 19 for 148 and the touchdown. His confidence was shaken early in the year, but he's bouncing back, throwing a deep ball for A.J. Green, and incomplete with Cody Sensabaugh, the coverage man.
Let's take a look at a few of Andy Dalton's attributes. This is what you're looking for at the quarterback position. Accuracy. Throw the ball to the tight end over the top of the linebacker under the safety. How about this quick release? You got to pull and shoot it. That's a great job by Andy Dalton. Timing on the quick game. And anticipation. Got to get the ball out of your hand before the receiver turns, and that is how it's done. 2nd and 10, Cincinnati.
And he's now thrown 160 consecutive passes without an interception. Another flag thrown from the secondary as Bernard went ahead for about 7 and into comfortable field goal range.
You are seeing Giovanni Bernard come to life tonight here in Cincinnati. See what this is.
There is no foul for illegal hands. It's 3rd down.
Giovanni Bernard out of North Carolina, exciting back. Had the ACL surgery a year ago and came in with only 121 yards rushing, just 19 catches, and without Mixon available right now, Bernard showing us why Cincinnati made him a high pick.
2-minute warning. Monday Night Football from Cincinnati. ESPN's Monday Night Football is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Ickey Woods, he's one of 20 former Bengals who will be honored tonight at halftime. Best known for his touchdown dance, the Ickey Shuffle. Rushed for over 1,000 yards as a rookie in 1988. There he is. If you don't know how to do the Ickey Shuffle, they have a banner up here in the stadium with the instructions.
Scored 15 touchdowns in a single season.
I did my very excellent Irish dance last week. Would you like to try the?
No, I won't. No, I will not do the Ickey Shuffle. Look at this.
Giovanni Bernard, another first down. We're inside of 2 minutes to go in the half. And Cincinnati trying to add to a 10-0 lead.
How about that call on 3rd and 3? They know Bernard is running hot, and that's one of the things you have to do. When you're standing down there calling plays and you see a young man that's running hot, keep giving him the ball. And use the clock. Don't give Roethlisberger a second.
It's a windy night. The ball was rolling around a little bit. The official comes back in to do who knows what there, but adjusted it apparently somewhat. 5 carries for 36 yards for Bernard. They faked it to him. Here's A.J. Green near another first down. Wow. And out of bounds inside the 15.
The Red Rifle has one of the quickest triggers you will see in the shotgun. Watch him pull the ball and shoot it again. And rarely does he have the laces. You got to practice this at home if you're a young quarterback. Go out in the yard and throw the ball without the laces, because if you want to get rid of it quick, you got to be able to handle the rock without the laces. Great work by Dalton.
He said he got used to doing that at TCU. A lot of those quick throws in their offense for the Horned Frogs when he was in college. Steelers crowding the line, and they're there to stuff Bernard for a loss, led by Cameron Hayward.
Look at this, Sean. This is what I'm talking about with Dalton. He's going to catch his football. You'll see the laces facing me. He's throwing the ball without the laces. You know, I called my friends at Wilson. I asked them to make me some footballs with no laces on them. Wow. And down at the Gruden's QB camp, we have our guys throw passes without the laces because that's what they do a lot in the NFL and in college. Nice drive by Cincinnati. A lot of different kinds of plays.
Job very well done by the coordinator, Bill Lazor. It's play 14 of this drive, and the rain starts to fall here in Cincinnati. Timeout Bengals, 39 seconds to go in the half. And then the Toyota halftime. Susie, Steve, and Charles talking about the Steelers' first half struggles. They might be about to be shut out in the first half for just the 3rd time since 2012. Chris Mortensen and Adam Schefter on the big news with the Giants today, firing both the GM Jerry Reese and Coach Ben McAdoo. And the latest on Rob Gronkowski, handed a 1-game suspension today by the NFL for his late hit in the win at Buffalo. It's on my weekly ESPN radio hit in New York City today with Humpty, Canty, and Rothenberg, and the big topic of conversation, other than the change the Giants made, is would Coach Gruden consider coming to the New York Giants? Your name comes up for every job.
I don't believe half of that stuff you hear and read, Sean.
Dalton throws a wobbly pass in the direction of Green and incomplete. Producer Jay Rothman said he saw somewhere the odds on you going to the Giants are 3,500 to 1. Would you take the over or the under on 3,500 to 1?
Let's take 3,500 to 1. I'll take the over. I'll take the under on that if Eli comes back. There's Bill Lazor calling the plays. You got to be real careful here on 3rd down. You've got points. Pittsburgh's going to rush 3, I believe. They're going to play maximum zone. There will be 8 Pittsburgh Steelers dropping in coverage. Got to be careful here if you're Dalton.
Cincinnati's been a bad 3rd down team, 28th in the league entering tonight, but they're 5 out of 7. Here comes a Steeler blitz from both sides. Dalton to the end zone. Touchdown, A.J. Green.
Well, I was wrong about that. Pittsburgh came with a double corner blitz, and Andy Dalton shredded him. Great pickup by the Bengals offensive line, and Andy Dalton puts together a great drive to end the first half.
How about that drive? 15 plays, another drive over 6 minutes. Cincinnati started the night last in the league in time of possession, just over 27 minutes per game. They have owned the football here in the first half. More than an 8-minute advantage in time of possession. Time for tonight's Pepsi Total Replay.
Watch this, Sean. They're going to bring a double corner blitz. They pick it up and they get A.J. Green right down the seam. Giovanni Bernard with another great blitz pickup. Left side of your screen, bang! And Andy Dalton has been on time, accurate. This is as good as I've seen Andy Dalton play in a while. You lose your confidence. You get beat up. Your offensive line is struggling. You throw 4 interceptions against the Baltimore Ravens in the opening game. You lose your offensive coordinator, but credit Dalton for holding things together, and offensive coordinator Bill Lazor done quite a job.
He really has, because that was about as ugly a start to the season as you could have. Lazor said really job one was psychological, rebuilding Dalton's confidence and the offensive line. Bill Lazor, bright guy, Cornell graduate, Ivy Leaguer, 3-year starting quarterback there for Jim Hoffer. How about that? They haven't had a 15-point lead or more against the Steelers since 1999. A long way to go in this one. Still the entire second half to play, but Martavis Bryant nowhere near the 20-yard line as he got rocked by Hardy Nickerson. Cody Core nearby as well. You can understand why it would be a very flat half for Mike Tomlin's team if he joined us late, less than 4 minutes into the game. Well, linebacker Ryan Shazier injured for Pittsburgh, their leading tackler, injured while making a tackle, immobilized, his legs were not moving. Vince Williams, fellow linebacker, in tears on the sideline. The defensive captain Cam Hayward over there to try to help Vince Williams deal with the situation. But if you were watching back then, and you've been watching throughout, it really is hard to think of anything else but Ryan Shazier as you watch this game tonight, regardless of which team you're cheering for. The Steelers didn't like that hit by George Iloka as the ball sailed by.
Well, I thought that was worthy of a flag. Deep corner route, Iloka, number 43. With a big hit.
Pittsburgh just 93 yards of offense in this first half. They have all 3 timeouts with just 21 seconds, and they're on their own 17. Screen to Bell, and he popped one. Le'Veon Bell down the sideline and runs out of bounds, stopping the clock with 11 seconds to go. Chased out by Carl Lawson. 33-yard play for Pittsburgh.
You got 2 great linemen, 66 to Castro and 53 Pouncey, deliver key blocks, and Le'Veon Bell puts Pittsburgh right at midfield with 11 seconds left.
Marquez Denard had the chance early in that play to take Bell down. One Michigan State man trying to tackle another. Denard didn't get it done. They're at the 50 with 11 seconds to go. Career long for Boswell's 53-yard field goal. Roethlisberger deep for Brown. Flag down with 5 seconds to go in a half. Jay Kirkpatrick is going to be called for pass interference.
They're backed up on their own 15-yard line with 21 seconds left, and now they're knocking on the door. Out of a bunch formation, Antonio Brown gets a step. That's a good call.
Pass interference, number 27, defense. First down at the spot of the foul.
Roethlisberger hung in there, made a great throw. I think there's only one thing left to do, and that's kick the field goal.
5 seconds to go in the half. Timeout Pittsburgh. A 33-yard screen pass to Le'Veon Bell, now 38 yards on the penalty. We talked about this rivalry a couple years ago. Kirkpatrick and Brown got in a slap fight during a game. Now they become good friends off the field. He's now tied with Jerry Hughes for the most defensive penalties in the league is Kirkpatrick.
You see him
since
talking.
2015.
Yeah.
Kirkpatrick had Antonio Brown down to his youth football camp in Gadsden, Alabama, and they've actually become very good friends.
There's a lot of that in this league. Rivals on the field, great friends and respect off the field. And Here's a man that has really done damage to the Bengals.
Yeah, that's historic. There's no kicker in the history of the league who in 2 consecutive games against the same opponent has made 11 out of 11 field goals. But that's what Boswell's done. He had 5 field goals in their win earlier this year against Cincinnati at Heinz Field.
30-second timeout.
And he went 6 for 6 in this stadium last December 18th for Coach Tomlin. And he's been clutch lately. He's kicked a couple of game-winning field goals. 2 of the last 3 games he took the game winner as time expired. 33-yarder to beat Indianapolis, and then this one against the Packers. Surprisingly tough games against opponents you would have expected them to handle with greater ease, but that career-long 53-yarder as the clock hits 0 to give the Steelers that win. That's the longest field goal ever at Heinz Field in an NFL game. Dan Bailey had kicked a 53-yarder a year ago for Dallas. So they avoid being shut out at the half. Perhaps a little momentum to take to the locker room. Bengals lead 17-3. Cincinnati gets the ball to start the second half.
Are you ready for some football? Some Monday Night Glory. The teams are set. Let's finish this story. The Steelers and Bengals are ready. That's right. All my riding friends are back on Monday night.
Back in Cincinnati, Monday Night Football with the Bengals leading the Steelers at the half 17-3. Ben Roethlisberger held to just 109 yards passing in the first half, and a lot of that on that big screen pass at the end of the half that helped set up the Steelers field goal as they avoid being shut out in the first half. Sean McDonough and John Gruden, delighted to have you with us tonight. Time for our extraordinary moments, brought to you by Kay Jewelers.
Well, they're all Andy Dalton to A.J. Green. What a combination that has been. Kay Jewelers would love it. Andy Dalton has been on fire, and his top target, 6-time Pro Bowler A.J. Green. Got it started early, outside breaking route, touchdown. This ball with incredible timing set up another score. And then rolling to his right, how about this tap dance on the sideline? Big first down on 3rd and 14. Then another touchdown pass to Green right before the half. Has Cincinnati up 17-3. But we all know, Sean, the Bengals have not been a great second half team. The last time they played the Steelers, they only had 19 yards in the second half. Let's see if the Steelers can get back in this.
12 targets, 7 catches, 2 of them good for touchdowns. And the rain continues to fall. You mentioned Cincinnati has struggled with Pittsburgh in recent years. It would certainly help their cause if they would stop giving up field goals at the end of the half. It's the 19th time in the last 23 games between these two teams that the Steelers have kicked at least 1 field goal in the last 2 minutes of the first half. Touchback on this kickoff, and here's Lisa Salters.
Hey, Sean, well, I asked Mike Tomlin if he could give us an update on Ryan Shazier, and he didn't really have much other than what we already know, that Shazier is at a local hospital being evaluated for a back injury. I asked Tomlin what he said to his guys in the locker room, and he said, hey, I told him, this is football. That's part of the game. They've still got to play. But I also talked to Marvin Lewis about it, and he said when something like this happens, it affects both teams. He said these guys, they compete, but they all love one another, so we all feel very badly for Ryan Shazier. Sean?
Indeed, you could feel it throughout the stadium. A lot of the energy went out of it, understandably so. Dalton throws, intended for A.J. Green, and incomplete.
Cameron Sutton in coverage. Cameron Sutton, a rookie out of Tennessee, replacing Cody Sensabaugh, who has been taken out of this game. That struggle with A.J. Green. There's Sutton, a 3rd-round pick. And they need a stop.
His alma mater needs a coach.
Sure do.
University of Tennessee.
Hopefully be a matter of time. It's been a long while since they've solved that.
Yes. Well, if you had just answered the call and said yes, you could have saved them an awful lot of trouble there. Rocky top. Dalton takes off running, and he has about an 8-yard gain. By the way, Joe Mixon, we are told, will not return for Cincinnati with a concussion suffered in the first half. So Marvin Lewis has really just one running back in Bernard, unless he wants to throw the rookie out of Wyoming, Brian Hill, out there, who has almost no experience.
That is very significant because the Steelers bring blitzes from everywhere, and if Bernard gets tired, you have to go to a man who has virtually no experience.
Third down and 2. Steelers hoping for a 3 and out, try to keep their momentum from the end of the first half going, and that'll help their cause as the pass thrown over the head of Giovanni Bernard.
It's what the Steelers do. It's unorthodox. They overload with the pressure and they rotate to the side of the blitz, and they throw the ball hot right into rotation, and Artie Burns is right there for the play. That's just good defense. Keith Butler, coordinator of the Steelers, dials up a good one.
Second punt for Kevin Huber. The first one went 44 yards. Low. Late flag thrown. The ball was bouncing. They got a great bounce down to the 17-yard line. $50-yard punt, but there is the flag to sort out.
Player out of bounds, number 16 of the kicking team. Will determine what Pittsburgh's option is.
Cody Core, one of the Bengals' best special teams players, called for the penalty.
Pittsburgh has elected to enforce the 5-yard penalty from the end of the kick. It'll be first down.
Boy, I'm surprised by that, John, because the kick wound up going 50 yards.
Yeah. Let's
So
see
this
if
is
Ben
still going to be a
Roethlisberger.
net 45 for the Bengals, and you take that every time you punt.
No doubt. And let's see if Ben Roethlisberger can put something together. See what adjustments they have made.
Le'Veon Bell, some running room. First down and much more across the 35 and out to the 38-yard line. Darquez Dennard and Vontaze Burfict on the stop for Cincinnati, a run of 11, or rather 16.
Watch this center, Marquise Pouncey. You want to see an athlete? He pulls around the horn and escorts Le'Veon Bell. Uncommon ability to pull and make blocks downfield from the center position. He must have one heck of a coach. Oh, he does. Mike Munchak, the ex-Hall of Famer. What a job he has done with this Steeler offensive line.
Roethlisberger thinks it's the best offensive line in football. Le'Veon Bell called it the best line on the planet. We talked with Mike Tomlin about that last night about Munchak. He said, well, Munchak had a lot to work with Pouncey and DeCastro. They are so talented. It's really the rest of the line, the undrafted guys, who have improved so much because of the tutelage of Munchak. Guys like Villanueva and Chris Hubbard, who's the right tackle.
Yeah, I saw Villanueva in a training room last night. He was preaching Munchak's praises and a lot of respect for a man that spends countless hours improving their technique and fundamentals.
Steady rain as the third quarter begins, and they're starting to get Bell a little bit of a rhythm. Dre Kirkpatrick took him down.
They came out to start the third quarter last week against Green Bay, and they handed the ball to Bell 4 straight times. And they're capable of pounding the ball at you. 10 carries, 46 yards. He had the big screen catch right before the half. And I'm surprised they don't look for Bell more often in the passing game. The Bengals are depleted at linebacker. Their leading tackle, Nick Vigil, is out. Rookie linebacker, number 50, Jordan Evans. I'd try to find that matchup.
Third down and 4. Crowd trying to help the Bengals defense. They showed blitz and bailed out, and it's a first down. Good throw by Roethlisberger to Antonio Brown to the Bengals 45-yard line.
Le'Veon has to stay in because of the blitz, and on the right side of your screen, you're going to see Antonio Brown widens on his release. Beats Kirkpatrick for a huge first down.
4 catches for Brown. He hasn't had more than 4 in any of the last 3 games against Cincinnati. They've done a good job against him. Roethlisberger handed it off to Bell, and he got rejected by Vontaze Burfict.
Look at those guys. They met right in the hole. Look at this man.
You know, Burfict was interesting when we talked to him yesterday. He said for a while he felt like the officials were kind of keeping too much of an eye on him, looking for some of that extracurricular stuff. He said now the officials kind of realize that the other team is trying to goad me, and they've been watching them more closely. Indeed, drafted free agent out of Arizona State. Eli Rogers the catch. He's to the 39.
He's just a great linebacker, and he's shaken up there, but that's that block flat play, and he came roaring out of his linebacker position for another big hit. So Marvin Lewis compared him to Ray Lewis. He coached Ray Lewis with the Baltimore Ravens. There are a lot of similarities in the passion that they play with, the size that they have, their playing instincts, their emotional leadership. Let's take a look at what happened to Burfict coming from inside out. Thought he was holding his left arm. And I don't know who replaces Burfict. They're already missing Nick Vigil, their leading tackler, and they brought Minter, Kevin Minter, over from Arizona. He missed some time with an elbow injury, and
he's out there now. Burfict walked off the field. Mentioned he's out of Arizona State. Good luck to our friend Herm Edwards, cherished colleague at ESPN, one of the all-time great guys, introduced as the new head coach at Arizona State. Another 3rd down and 4 for Pittsburgh. 5 minutes into the second half. They were down 17-0. Kicked a field goal in the final seconds of the first half. Well, how about this play? Roethlisberger, did he slide too early?
I think he's early.
I think he is short of the first down as a result. Well, the official,
they gave it to him
after they handed him the ball, moved downfield and have the first down.
Well, he's going to keep it on the zone read. I have not seen Roethlisberger do this often.
Very close.
See if Marvin Lewis challenges it. I don't believe he will.
You know, those challenges on the spots are so tough to get overturned. Vontaze Burfict is back on the field for the Bengals. Pittsburgh on the move. Roethlisberger, deep strike, and it is incomplete. Antonio Brown could not complete the catch.
William Jackson doesn't know who he's covering. He, just in his first year playing out of Houston, he doesn't back down from anybody. Great throw by Roethlisberger, and you have to complete the process. That's incomplete. I saw Jackson run with Antonio Brown in Pittsburgh in October when they first met. And Paul Gunther says the good thing about Jackson is he doesn't know Antonio Brown from anybody else in the league. He has no fear because he just doesn't know.
Well, he'd be the only guy in the league who doesn't know Antonio Brown. Jackson's played very well this year for Cincinnati. Lots of time for Roethlisberger. The check down to Bell, almost always a good option. Does he go out of bounds? No whistle, no signal. And it's a touchdown for Pittsburgh. Wow. Boy, Jordan Evans, I don't know if he thought they were playing two-hand touch or what, but he didn't get him down. He didn't get him out of bounds. And the Steelers with an interesting celebration of a 35-yard touchdown.
Bell did it to him in Pittsburgh. Just a simple check down. He catches the ball. He comes out of the backfield, and he's in bounds.
He is in bounds. And what kind of a tackle is that by Jordan Evans?
Not good. Backup player.
William Jackson there as well, just a bystander.
Only thing is, did they hear a whistle? I don't believe they did.
But what is Jackson doing?
No idea. No idea.
It looked like he's looking at Evans as if to say, I thought you were going to push him out of bounds.
I have not seen that ever. I bet Marvin Lewis is disgusted.
Well, he should be, and that is just bizarre. And the momentum in this game has really turned at the end of the first half. Well, it looked like Pittsburgh might just run out the clock. Go in down 17-0. That field goal gave him a little life, and that has carried over into the second half. A long way to go, and now Marvin Lewis's team just hanging on to a 7-point lead, trying to pin the Bengals in Cincinnati. Steelers with their first touchdown of the night with a lot of help from the Cincinnati defense on this 35-yard score by Le'Veon Bell.
Well, take a look at William Jackson, right corner. I have no idea. He just quit on the play. It's a simple check down to Le'Veon Bell, and Jackson just turns down this play. I thought number 50, Jordan Evans, was hustling, but Jackson jumped out of the way and let Bell score.
Evans didn't really have the angle, and I think he might have made a greater effort, but he saw Jackson right there, very well positioned to knock him out of bounds.
Sideline drill. You practice it every year in training camp. You have to knock a man out of bounds. You have to push a guy out of bounds, but you don't let a guy run right down your sideline. And it's the Bengals sideline.
So much bizarre history in this rivalry. Most of the negative stuff belongs to Cincinnati, and that is just crazy. You've seen a lot of football in your life. You ever seen that before?
No, I haven't seen that. You see that in training camp where your guy's wearing a different color jersey and you get out of his way, but that is unforgivable. And let's see if Andy Dalton can put the wheels back on. This has not been a good second half offense. They are depleted at the running back position. Can Giovanni Bernard take the Bengals home?
Out of the pistol formation. Here's Bernard. Bounced off one hit, knocked out of bounds by Artie Burns. Sean Davis couldn't get him on the ground.
Well, I like this Vince Williams, this linebacker of the Steelers, second on the team with 57 tackles. He was mad a little bit. They tried to sign Dante Hightower, the New England Patriots. Everybody thought he'd be upset. He says, hey, I just mind my own business. I love playing for the Steelers, and what a player he's been. Look at Matakevich now. Their backup linebacker is hurt.
And he came in for Ryan Shazier. Quick blitz and a perfect call. LaFell first down to the 40-yard line. They were ready for Mike Hilton, who likes to come off that corner.
Sure were. The third time I've seen Hilton come storming off the edge, and Andy Dalton saw it again. Gets to his hot receiver, Brandon LaFell, and can't do it any better than Andy Dalton just did it there. See the blitz and throw a timely, hot delivery to your slot receiver. Good work.
With the rain coming down hard now, a lot of empty seats here in Cincinnati. Dalton, deep throw, man behind the defense is Green. He had to wait for it. Still has it. Inside the 10. Touchdown Cincinnati. But there is a flag down back at the 31-yard line.
I think Giovanni Bernard held T.J. Watt.
TJ's the only one back there where the flag is.
Holding number 25, offense, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Wow. Bernard saw the blitz. Drifts off to his left. You see number 90 who beats Croft.
Oh, boy.
That's unbelievable.
That is really weak. I mean, if you're going to call that, you're going to call a holding penalty on every play all night.
That doesn't even look like holding. Super slow-mo.
And now the crowd groans as they saw the replay.
Amen.
Yeah, that's bad. Now you wonder about the psyche of the Bengals. So much negative history over the years with the Steelers. Look like they had this one well in hand. The game has turned. And now the big play that they needed to get momentum back on their side wiped out by a really shaky holding call. Fans irate. Don't think that fan likes the Steelers.
Keep an eye on L.J. Fort, middle linebacker now of the Steelers. They've lost Ryan Shazier. They've lost Tyler Matakevich. And does L.J. Fort have the ability to get the calls from the sideline and help his teammates line up?
Second and 16. Dalton's pass is batted down at the line of scrimmage.
Cameron Hayward.
Wow, what a year he's having. In Pittsburgh, they feel like he could have been a Pro Bowler in the past. Now in his 7th year, having a Pro Bowl season for sure.
3-time captain of the Steelers. You'll see number 97 throw his hand up. He's copying J.J. Watt.
And of course, he's the brother of Hayward's teammate, the rookie T.J. Watt, who's lined up as if he's going to rush the passer, and he does from the right end of their defense. LaFell the catch as he inbounds. Yes, say the officials. Great throw by Dalton, and LaFell has a first down at the Pittsburgh 40.
That's an incredible throw on 3rd down and long. The Steelers came in here tonight allowing opponents just 3 conversions on 50 3rd and 10 pluses. That's the second one Cincinnati has converted tonight. It's all Andy Dalton. You can't throw the ball in the rain any better.
For a 27-yard completion. LaFell clearly got 2 feet down.
318. Hands up.
Now the I formation with Ryan Hewitt, fullback. Hewitt leading the way for Bernard, and a tough run for another Cincinnati first down.
Is that impressive? Hickey Woods would be proud of this. Power play off the Bengals' left side. And Giovanni Bernard is running like a man on a mission tonight. He's running through Pittsburgh Steelers, and look at Hopkins, Bodine, Bowling. Great finish.
Bernard to the 29, a gain of 1. Tackle made by Sean Davis.
We were here on Monday Night Football. Giovanni Bernard. Heck, my brother Jay was the offensive coordinator at this time. They ran a little check down on all go. Watch Bernard. 2 touchdowns and a big victory for the Bengals. Great night here in Cincinnati.
September 16, 2013. Bernard was a rookie. Scored twice. Bengals won 20-10. That was the last time these two played on Monday Night Football. It's the 10th meeting all time on Monday night. Steelers have a 6-3 edge. Screen. Bernard lunged forward for a couple. Tackled by Anthony Chickalo, 3rd-year linebacker out of the University of Miami, Florida.
And here comes the A-team. Tuitt, 91. Hayward, 97. Tuitt missed some time, and you see number 22, interesting player, William Gay. He's like a coach on the field. He plays linebacker in their dime package. And given the shortage they have at linebacker, his experience is much needed.
And they love his knowledge of the defense. Not the fastest guy or quickest, but in the right place all the time, according to Keith Butler. They are in field goal range. Dalton throws short, and there is Gay right on cue. Good job, Coach Gruden, as Tyler Boyd is dropped short of the first down, and the field goal team comes out.
He smells everything out. He's been around so long. He knows his defense like the back of his hand. He'll be a good coach. He knew it was a screen pass the whole way, and always been a good tackler. Here's Bullock.
This is
been
a
up and
big
down.
field goal. He's been a little bit up and down. A couple of weeks ago, Marvin Lewis was asked if he's the kicker, and the answer was for this week. So I'll give you an idea of his situation. That one's right down the middle. He's 2 for 2 tonight, a 35-yarder, and now that one from 41. Back to a 10-point lead for Dalton and the Bengals. ESPN's Monday Night Football is brought to you by Sprint. Works for me. We'll talk about some of the controversial plays in this rivalry. 1983 Monday Night Football at Riverfront Stadium. Ken Anderson, the great Bengals quarterback, had his face mask twisted around. The number on the back of his helmet was almost facing forward. He left the game, as you might expect, was replaced by Turk Schonert, who threw 3 interceptions, 2 returned for Steeler touchdowns. A 14-10 Bengals lead wound up a 24-14 loss. And a lot of other plays similar to that. Martavis Bryant, flag down. He's going to go. But there is a flag. 96 yards if it stands. They put him back there last week for the first time. He gave them their longest return of the season. They've been a dreadful kickoff return team.
Holding number 27, receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down Pittsburgh. Timeout.
The hold on J.J. Wilcox. Wipes it out. There it is. Heading toward the right of your screen. Well, both teams have now had a long touchdown called back by what appeared to be a very iffy penalty call. Martavis Bryant, 96-yard kickoff return negated. So the Steelers instead start from their own 16. James Conner, the rookie out of the University of Pittsburgh, with his first carry of the night. And now a flag thrown at the end of that play. Let's go back to the kickoff.
Take a look at J.J. Wilcox. You be the judge. I thought number 40, Brandon Wilson,
Personal
was
foul,
falling down.
Face mask number 42. Defense, 15-yard penalty. First down.
You can't believe it.
I don't believe it either.
I said it once last year, and I hate to, well, maybe it'll be an annual statement. People don't come to watch the officiating. This crew averages 18 penalties per game, second most in the league. People do like to watch long touchdowns. You know, the blatant, obvious stuff that clearly is impacting the play, fine. But stuff like that where you can't tell if it's a penalty or not, let it go. Let the people watch the football game, not you throw a bunch of flags.
I never liked you more as a friend, Sean. Honestly, it's really
terrible. It's terrible. James Conner, the ball carrier, and
how about Conner? What a story he is, out of the University of Pittsburgh. He's a battler, beat Hodgkin's disease and became the captain at Pitt. Came out early, and here he is, giving Le'Veon Bell a blow. And hard guy not to root for, this man.
It was 2 years ago today that he announced publicly that he had been diagnosed with stage 2 Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Look at this. Look who's back.
Montez perfect. Drops him for a loss back at the 43-yard line.
A lot of people consider Burfict to be a villain. He's been fined over $300,000. I'd pay season tickets to see this man play. He loves to compete. He has a nose for the football, and he hits you like a cinder block. Leader of the Bengals. Good to see him back after an earlier injury.
Bengals confused on defense. They get a timeout just before the snap. 1:27 to go, third quarter. Cincinnati in dire need of a big win to get to 500 and stay in this wild card playoff chase in the AFC, leading 20-10. And Pittsburgh needs a win tonight to remain tied with New England. They started the weekend at 9-2 apiece. New England a winner at Buffalo yesterday to go to 10-2. So the Steelers will need to pull this one out to match the Patriots at 10-2. If Pittsburgh won, for the moment they'd have the tiebreaker, but right now that's really pretty meaningless given that they play a week from Sunday, 13 days from now in Pittsburgh.
Specialty pass rushers on the field. Keep an eye on number 58, Sean. Rookie Carl Lawson. They're going to move Michael Johnson inside with Geno Atkins. 6'7" Michael Johnson, 6'1" powerful Geno Atkins. Strength and length.
3rd down and 8. Bengals still look a little bit confused, but now they're gesturing because there's movement on the Pittsburgh side, and they are correct.
False start, number 17, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Eli Rogers, he's had a tough couple weeks. His playing time has diminished with the emergence of Juju Schuster. Bryant is back, and you got to come off the bench. Throw the cape off in the rain and keep your cool. Keep your poise in the noise.
4th Pittsburgh penalty. Cincinnati's been penalized 8 times for 103 yards. 3rd down and 13. 4-man rush. They still put pressure on. Another flag down. Roethlisberger throws incomplete. Looking for Eli Rogers.
We have another flag.
Holding, number 78, offense. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Alejandro Villanueva, left tackle of the Bengals.
Graduate of West Point, 3 tours in Afghanistan, an Army Ranger, received a Bronze Star for valor before he joined the NFL. He's briefly with the Cincinnati Bengals trying to make his way. When he first started the adventure, he was a defensive player.
See if we can get the ball placed here.
Let's see if we can get a play or two off without a flag.
A lot of penalties, a lot of clock stoppages. As we head into the 4th quarter, should be an exciting finish. Be careful if you're Pittsburgh. Alex Erickson is dangerous.
Undrafted player a year ago out of Wisconsin, become a valuable weapon for Cincinnati. He gets collared at the 12-yard line. Whatever happened to don't catch the punt inside your own 10? Does that ever happen?
Times are changing, Sean.
Yes, that was inside the 5, I believe. 58-yard punt. The Walter Payton Man of the Year Award is presented by Nationwide and recognizes NFL players for their excellence on and off the field. The Bengals' 2016 nominee was Andy Dalton. He and his wife Jordan launched their foundation in 2011, trying to provide support and resources to seriously ill and physically challenged children, both here in Cincinnati and back in Fort Worth, Texas. They've raised more than $2 million, impacted a lot of people through 5 community outreach programs. Another one of the good guys in the league, Andy Dalton.
Yes, he is. And he's played really good quarterback tonight, too.
So a 10-point lead as we approach the final minute of the 3rd quarter, and the Bengals have the ball from their own 13. Dalton on target. A.J. Green looked like he was struggling to hang on to the ball, and now they're ruling it an incomplete pass. Steelers thought they took it away.
Oh, the slant pattern, A.J. Green has it. Did he ever have full possession?
Incomplete pass, 2nd down.
I think that's a good call. I don't think A.J. ever had full possession. Artie Burns with the strip. Mike Tomlin's going to challenge this, I think. He's thinking about it.
Well, he shouldn't, because the ball hit the ground, so it's an incomplete pass.
Well, does he have possession? Did he finish the process and start a forward movement?
Pittsburgh is challenging the ruling on the field of an incomplete pass.
Yeah, I think Jerry Austin tells us, obviously he's right, that Mike Tomlin wants it to be a catch and then a fumble in his team's ball.
Right. But it did not complete the process.
So he's going to lose the challenge, you think, Jerry?
He's going to lose the challenge. This is an incomplete pass. He never makes another move. Actually, never controls the ball. And he's going to the ground. Ball comes out. Incomplete pass.
Is this the first time you've ever had to appear on Monday Night Football on your birthday?
Yes.
Happy birthday, Jerry.
Thank you.
You know what? You're not older. You're even better.
I'm going to buy you a whistle and a flag.
Well, they want it to be a catch and a fumble. And A.J. Green's saying, yeah, I caught it. Well, I don't think he wants it to be a catch, A.J., because then it might be a fumble and it might be their ball.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field of an incomplete pass is confirmed. Pittsburgh will be charged with their first timeout of the second half. It's second down, Cincinnati.
Good work by you, Jerry.
Celebrating his 39th birthday again today.
Second down and 10. I'm interested to see where this pass rush of the Steelers is. They have been mixing it up with some blitzes, some three-man rushes. T.J. Watt, number 90, at the top of the screen. And third down has really been a tough down for the Steeler defense tonight.
Second and 10. Down by 10 as we approach the fourth quarter. That could be a costly lost timeout for the Steelers. Inside handoff, big hole, and Bernard breaks a tackle to pick up the first down. Robert Golden couldn't get him down on the ground, and it's a first down for Cincinnati.
This completely took him off guard. An inside handoff, full pass rush mode, and there's nobody there. And I have not seen Giovanni Bernard run this hard and this effectively for a while. Great to see him obviously overcoming that injury that he had last year to his knee, Sean.
117 yards rushing tonight. Started the night last in the NFL. The Steelers are sixth in the league in rush defense, giving up only 96 yards per game. So it's a surprise that Cincinnati can run it, and they do again with Bernard on what will be the last play of the third quarter. Pittsburgh's 6-game winning streak in serious jeopardy with 15 minutes to go in this rivalry game. Keith Butler dealing with a shorthanded defense. Ryan Shazier injured in the first half. Taken off on a stretcher. Still no word. We don't expect any. The Steelers tell us before this game is over, as he was taken to a hospital. His replacement, Tyler Matakevich, not on the field at the moment. And that slant pass is incomplete, intended for Brandon LaFell. So a big stop by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And here comes a third down.
Mike Hilton. Great play. Randall Gay checks back into the game, dime linebacker. He has all the intelligence. They're having a hard time getting their communication. Obviously, when you lose your top two signal callers, I don't care how you communicate it, it's not going to be as clean. And they need Randall Gay to help his teammates solve this situation. 3rd and 6 in the fourth quarter.
Hey, go 90-31, 90-31.
7 for 11 on third down. The Bengals, they had struggled all year long on third down prior to tonight. Three-man rush, but pressure on Dalton. And again, it looked like the player gave up on the tackle. Bud Dupree, now he charges back after Dalton. And it's an incomplete pass. What is going on?
Unbelievable. Great effort by Dalton finishing the play. And you see Dupree on the right side of your screen. He beats Andre Smith.
I mean, he must have thought the ball was already thrown by Dalton. He turned and looked down the field.
That's bizarre. I've seen a couple crazy plays, and he must have lost Dalton.
Yeah, I think he thought the ball had been thrown. A big third down stop by the Steelers. And a bomb of a punt by Kevin Huber. Rodgers. And here come flags. 2 of them. Back near the 13-yard line. 57-yard punt by the veteran Huber. Here's two longtime coaches, Marvin Lewis and
During the
Mike
return,
Tomlin.
personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 29, receiving team, half the distance to the goal. First down.
Brian Allen called for the penalty. Lewis in his 15th year, and Mike Tomlin in his 11th. Of course, the elder statesman, longest tenured head coach in his job right now is Bill Belichick. And the New England Patriots, they'll be on Monday Night Football from Miami next Monday night, 8:15 Eastern Time. I think they solved their defensive problems. A lot of angst at the beginning of the year when they struggled, but they've won 8 in a row.
Sure have. They always seem to find a way after Thanksgiving to play their best football. And here he is, Ben Roethlisberger, one of the great fourth quarter comeback quarterbacks I have seen. He brought him back to beat Indianapolis in the fourth quarter a couple weeks ago. Did it to Green Bay last Sunday night. Can he do it again tonight in the rain?
From their own 7, Le'Veon Bell. He's so patient, John, when those runs start. It's almost as if he's running like he heard a whistle and the play isn't going to happen.
It is a very unique running style. They, for the most part, however, have held Bell in check on the ground.
He needed 19 yards to start the night to go over 1,000 for the season. He has 54 yards rushing, his third 1,000-yard rushing season in his 5-year career, and he had one season shortened significantly by injury. Roethlisberger running out of time, still found Brown, who turns up the field and gets to the 27-yard line with a Pittsburgh first down.
You can question anything you want about Ben Roethlisberger, but do not ever question his toughness. He stands in here as long as he can, and he takes a lick from Dunlap. That's outstanding quarterback play. There's Dunlap. Hubbard misses the cut block. If Cincinnati's going to win this game tonight, Dunlap, Atkins, this high-priced Cincinnati pass rush is going to have to get home.
Roethlisberger said after that 5-interception game and the loss to Jacksonville week 5, maybe I've lost it. He told us last night he was kidding, but there are a lot of people who took him seriously. He clearly has not lost it. Brown looking for a flag. There is none. Coverage from William Jackson.
There's William Jackson, the man that had the terrible mistake on the sideline against Le'Veon Bell, but this is the second time against the great Antonio Brown. He has rejected him. Don't doubt his coverage skills. Filling in for the injured Adam Jones. He's done a nice job in coverage. 2nd and 10.
Well, starting the night, William Jackson, the completion percentage with the opposing quarterbacks had thrown at him is 37%. That was the lowest in the league among any player who had defended 30 passes or more. Roethlisberger finds some room. He got rid of it short of Antonio Brown and too high for Jesse James. And here's a Pittsburgh 3rd down and 10.
And here comes the pass rush specialist. Lawson, the rookie from Auburn, 58. He'll be on the right side working against Villanueva at left tackle. Dunlap versus the backup Chris Hubbard at right tackle, and the Pro Bowl Geno Atkins inside.
Lawson's turned out to be a terrific 4th-round pick. Some scouts didn't like the measurables. He's not textbook from a size standpoint, but he is a terrific football player. Roethlisberger got the screen off. It's Xavier Grimble, a tight end, very close to the first down. Looks like they're going to mark him about a half a yard shy. And Mike Tomlin is going to have to make a decision.
Roethlisberger's hurt. That's 2 licks Big Ben has taken. That time, Carl Lawson unblocked. Top of your screen. Wow.
talked to Paul Gunther yesterday about Lawson, who might break the rookie sack record before the year is over. He said, I liked him. Some people didn't like him because of the size situation. He said when we were going to the 4th round, it was our pick, and they said we're going to take Lawson. He said, I grabbed his name off the board and ripped it off the board to make sure we picked him before anybody could change their mind. They're just a little bit short, and as you can see, the rain has intensified again. It slowed down for a while, but now it's raining hard.
And Ben Roethlisberger has taken back-to-back big-time hits from Lawson, from Dunlap. And in an inches situation, you'd love to see your 6'5" quarterback just sneak it for the first down.
Mike Tomlin back in Cincinnati as a young coach, coached at the University of Cincinnati under Rick Minter. But he really enjoyed his time here in this city. Not enjoying it tonight, down by 10.
Got to be careful at the top of the screen. If you go on an all-out run stop, you have Antonio Brown in one-on-one coverage. And don't think for a second that Ben Roethlisberger is afraid of throwing it.
Steelers have gone for it 5 times this year on 4th down. They're 2 out of 5. Huge play for both teams, not just tonight, but perhaps with an eye toward their playoff situations. Under 12 and a half to go. Steelers need a conversion, down by 10. Long count by Roethlisberger. Will they snap it? If they're going to, they better hurry. Bell, first down, runs over Kirkpatrick and gets swung down by Josh Shaw. 1st and 10, Pittsburgh at the Steelers' 45.
That's why I think he's the best at football. Same foot, same shoulder, and he punishes great Kirkpatrick. Something about Bell. His best stuff comes late in games. What a run.
And Vontaze Burfict was injured on that play. He was down earlier for a while, left the field and came back. Now they're looking at his left arm. Well, you mentioned earlier all the touches for Le'Veon Bell, averaging 28.5 touches per game. That is historically high, but Mike Tomlin says he has no worries. Bell's in great shape. You combine his rushes per game and receptions, 28.5. And that would be 3rd most in league history. Who let James Wilder have all those touches back in 1984?
James Wilder, look at him. My dad was a running back coach of the Bucs. He knew how to get the ball to Wilder 31 times a game. And there are some similar qualities in all of those men that Le'Veon Bell has. He did it at Michigan State, and he has done an unbelievable job playing out his franchise tag, and Burfict is hurt. Take a look at that left arm. George Iloka, number 43. And Burfict's left arm.
As you can see on the graphic, he's been on the field for all but one play. That was the one play came off for when he was injured earlier in the game, came right back out. So they're without a terrific defensive player trying to protect the 10-point lead. Swung out to Brown. Could not weave through all the traffic. Good for a 3-yard gain. Michael Johnson ran to the sideline to make the stop.
Boy, did he ever. 6'7", 290 pounds. He reads this quick screen, and I think this game isn't important to the Cincinnati Bengals. They're playing for their playoff lives. They're tired of Pittsburgh coming to town. They've beaten them 13 out of the last 15 times here. They have to end that with their defense.
Still a long way to go. 11 minutes remaining. 2 timeouts for Pittsburgh. Down by 10. Roethlisberger deep throw for Martavis Bryant, and a flag thrown. 2 flags down. Boy, that was against Cincinnati. It's a bad mistake because they had 2 guys in coverage there.
Got to wave this off. Good go route.
Pass interference, number 27, defense. First down, out of the foul.
Might be the worst call I've seen. I don't see it.
Well,
maybe he grabbed his arm. That's what they called.
That's probably what they called. He had his right
at that
hand
speed,
around the left wrist.
when you're running the cameras at that speed, it's always going to look like pass interference. If you run it at real speed, you got to be kidding me. I didn't see enough there, but it's first down Pittsburgh. Cincinnati's got to get over it.
And again, if you're going to throw that one, then you're going to throw it many more times over the course of the game. 30-yard penalty. 133 yards in penalties against the Cincinnati Bengals tonight. Quick pop. Smith-Schuster popped immediately and tackled by William Jackson. Very little on that play for the Steelers.
It's like the way he's responded. He makes a terrible mistake on the sideline and he comes back from it. That's called mental toughness. And that's physical toughness, bringing Juju Smith to the ground in a one-on-one situation. And guess who's back? Number 55, Burfict, has found a way back on the field. He is one tough customer.
Yeah, he sure is. Who loves football. That was obvious. We talked with him yesterday. Real homebody, just goes home, studies film. Pass dropped. Rare drop by Antonio Brown. Would have been a first down had he been able to hang on.
These no-back sets, they like to just send everybody off the line of scrimmage, looking for the ball quickly over their inside shoulder and see if they can get somebody uncovered. And that time they had Brown, he just dropped the football.
Just his second drop on an on-target throw this season. And he's been targeted 139 times this year, the league high. 3rd down and 8. They are in field goal range, and that would make it a one-score game, but they want more. And they're going for more, and it's too high. Oh, it looked like Smith-Schuster got tackled in the end zone. There is no flag.
I thought that was pass interference. I'm just going to stay out of the officiating business, but
well, Mike Tomlin is gesturing at the officials.
Smith-Schuster runs a post route, number 19 against Kirkpatrick. Let them play. Glad to see him let them play. Here's Boswell, who
has never missed against Cincinnati. He's 22 for 22 all-time against the Bengals, and now 23 for 23 with a 37-yard field goal. 7-point game, 10:07 to go. Monday Night Football from Cincinnati. ESPN's Monday Night Football is brought to you by Domino's. Oh, yes. First matchup ever between the Steelers and the Bengals took place on Monday Night Football, November 2nd, 1970. Chuck Noll was in his second season as head coach. He led the Steelers to a win over the legendary Paul Brown, who was his mentor. He played for Paul Brown. Big play of the game in the fourth quarter. Terry Hanratty to Dennis Hughes. A 72-yard touchdown pass. That was the first season of Monday Night Football, just the 7th game in the program's history. Tonight's is the 758th. Chuck Noll, you share an alma mater.
University of Dayton, Chuck Noll, the man that got the Steelers started. Oh.
Alex Erickson took a pretty good hit from Darius Hayward-Bay as he approached the 20-yard line. Well, this was a highlight for you. When was this?
Well, after we won the Super Bowl, they brought me back to Dayton to meet Chuck Noll, who won all those Super Bowls. And a lot of people don't know Chuck Noll went to Dayton, and he was drafted by the Cleveland Browns. He played for Paul Brown. That's where he learned his coaching philosophy. He shared a lot of that with me. But Chuck Noll went to the Steelers and laid the foundation that he learned playing for Paul Brown, and here he is. Still, I think his legacy is very visible here, the way the Steelers play and what continuity they have had. Look out.
Dalton is buried. The blitzing Vince Williams. You talked about it a lot tonight. Blitzing from the inside so often and so successfully.
Well, you think they're going to rush the ends, but they rush the inside linebackers instead. They completely fool the Bengals, and Andy Dalton, lucky he didn't fumble that football. Vince Williams has 7 sacks from his inside linebacker position, and You know these men want to get this victory for Ryan Shazier, their great linebacker, who we're all praying for.
First sack of the night for the Steelers. They're 39th of the year. Only Jacksonville, known as Saxonville,
False
now
start,
has more.
25 offense. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Steelers are blitzing. They're not messing around now. Keith Butler blitzes. Vince Williams, that time he was coming off the edge. I saw Mike Hilton. He was going to blitz off the corner, and the Bengals false start. There's Keith Butler. Talk about pressure, taking over a defensive coordinator position for the great Dick LeBeau. He has really earned the respect of a lot of people. Done a great job.
Well, they do a lot on defense. He was the linebacker coach for 12 years. Now the defensive coordinator for 3. And here comes pressure again. Dalton stepped up. Good throw. LaFell could not hang on. Incomplete pass. Did not complete the catch. Robert Golden there to make sure he didn't.
You got to make this catch. You're in your own end zone. Andy Dalton throws a perfect pass. We've seen A.J. Green drop a slant. Now LaFell drops a huge pass. And it's third down and a long way to go.
3rd and 23. As you mentioned, this is a great defense, best in the league on 3rd and 10 or more. They've given up only 3 conversions and 50 3rd and 10 pluses all year long. By far the best in the league, but Bengals 3 for 3 tonight. Screen. Bernard. At least tilt the field position a little bit, but he's well shy of the first down. Made the 24-yard line, needed the 31. So the Steelers should get pretty good field position here, needing a touchdown to tie it up as we tick down to 8.5 minutes to go.
And Antonio Brown nursing that toe injury, not going to return this punt. Brown had 3 punt returns for touchdowns against the Bengals. It'll be Eli Rogers with the opportunity.
Cincinnati is not a good punt coverage team, 27th in the league. Their opponents average more than 11 yards per punt return. Line drive kick by Huber. Plenty of room for Rodgers on the catch. Here come flags.
That was obvious. That's J.J. Wilcox again. That was ridiculous.
Well, they would have started at the 32-yard line, but they're going to back up.
During the return, holding number 27 receiving team, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down, Pittsburgh.
27.
Timeout.
Wilcox got flagged on the kick return by Bryant. Here he just throws the man to the ground, and that was easy.
Ben Roethlisberger trying to lead a comeback victory for the Steelers for the 42nd time in his career. Montez perfect, and the Bengals trying to stop it and get a much-needed win with an eye on the playoffs. Here's Le'Veon Bell on first down for Pittsburgh from its own 20, and a quality gain of 5 on first down.
And watch Montez perfect. Bad arm. He's got to get the call set as defense. When he sees the formation, a lot of these calls are double-digit calls. They'll play 1 digit versus a pro set. They'll play another digit versus a slot formation. He's got to echo all these calls and straighten it all out. What a confrontation. Perfect. And Roethlisberger in the 4th.
Play fake to Bell. Roethlisberger flush to his left. Running out of time. Throws it away.
Another flag.
Did they hit Ben late? He went down to the deck after he threw it away.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 97 defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Geno Atkins in pursuit. Didn't have to do it. Nope. 153 penalty yards. Atkins knows better.
And that is the franchise record. 153 yards in penalties.
Unbelievable.
It's the most by any team in a game this year in the NFL. Pittsburgh had that mark. They had 143 yards in penalties in their opening day win at Cleveland. Roethlisberger throws, and it's off the hands of Grimble and incomplete.
Montez perfect in coverage now. You got to be kidding me. He's not the fastest linebacker, let me tell you, but here he is carrying Grimble right down the seam on a double move, and what a performance he has laid down tonight. Second down and 10, and in these troublesome situations, it's Antonio Brown at the top of the screen, the man that Roethlisberger looks for.
Been targeted 13 times tonight, has 6 catches. Being guarded by Jackson. Ben looked a couple of times in that direction, dumped it off to Bell, who got a big block from Smith-Schuster, flattened perfect, and here come flags from all over the place.
$19. Juju. Smith-Schuster. Going to get called here, I believe.
There are 3 flags.
And that's perfect. Watch the hit on Burfict. It's a peeled back block, and that's going to be a fine, and that's going to be.
And then to make matters worse, he stands
ridiculous.
over the guy. Smith-Schuster has become a very popular Steeler, very likable guy. A lot of stories about his upbringing.
That's ridiculous. You know, you spend a lot of time on education on what's
on the
legal
play.
and what isn't.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 19, offense. That penalty is declined. Taunting, number 19, number 9, offense. That penalty is accepted. That is number 19's first unsportsmanlike foul of the game. Be 15-yard penalty. It's second down.
I don't know what you need to do to get ejected from a football game. A penalty like that and then a taunting penalty on top of it. That's bad football, bad for the game.
And so for the second time tonight, the players being immobilized, put onto a board. They'll be put onto that cart and taken off the field. It's Montez Burfict on that hit from Juju Smith-Schuster. And John, what I can't believe, on this of all nights, when he and his teammates and everybody else watching this game watched Ryan Shazier get seriously injured, it seemed, that in the front of everybody's mind, to deliver a hit like that that's illegal and then stand over a man who you might have seriously injured, shame on him.
It's sickening. I just don't understand why he hasn't been ejected from the game. There's going to be a lot of ramifications from that hit, but the number one concern is how is Montez Burfict, who has played his heart out tonight. He's come back twice from elbow injuries, and now he lays here on a stretcher.
Well, we talked about the nastiness, the physical nature of this rivalry, the controversial, often ugly history between the Steelers and the Bengals. 2005 wild card game. Kimo von Oelhoffen went in low to Carson Palmer. He suffered a knee injury. They changed the rules, put in the rule that forcibly hitting in the knee area or below a passer who has 1 foot or both off the ground. That became known as the Carson Palmer rule. Then came the Hines Ward rule. Blindside blocks illegal if the blocker's helmet makes contact with the head or neck of the opponent after he broke Keith Rivers' jaw in a game in 2008. They put that rule in 2009. Of course, most football fans remember the violent wild card game between these two teams here in 2015. Bernard was knocked unconscious by Ryan Shazier. initially ruling that Shazier's planting of the crown of his helmet into the jaw was within the rules. The NFL made such hits illegal. Of course, later in that game, Burfict delivered the hit to Antonio Brown that really cost the Bengals that playoff win. Burfict signaling the crowd that he's all right. Ben Roethlisberger said, when we play the Ravens, it's smash mouth and physical, but it's clean and it's respectful. When we play the Bengals, I worry about somebody getting hurt. Shazier's play, he went in to make a tackle. That was
those plays
very
were nothing
unfortunate,
alike.
perhaps tragically so, but those
plays were
was
nothing
ugly.
alike. Nothing alike. That was intentional, uncalled for, and we got to get back to the game. Let's hope these two great linebackers are okay. That's the number one concern. Let's not forget it. But we got to finish the game.
Charlie.
Second down, 16. 6:40 to go. The clock running. Pittsburgh down by 7. 2 timeouts left. On target throw. Brown taken down in Cincinnati territory at the 42-yard line.
Pass protection. They did it the first time. They're going to do it again here unless this pass rush wakes up for the Bengals. A few weeks ago in Pittsburgh, I didn't think the Bengals got to Roethlisberger nearly enough, and if they don't get to him here shortly, they're in real trouble.
And the Bengals started the game without 2 key linebackers inactive tonight. Nick Vigil and Vincent Ray due to injury. Now they've lost Burfict. Little dump past the Bell with all kinds of running room on the catch, and he has another Pittsburgh first down inside the 25-yard line.
You let Roethlisberger stand back here and look down the field, they're going to just get Bell sneaking out of the backfield. You're so worried about covering these great receivers. You get depth in your zone drops. You forget about Le'Veon Bell, and the Bengals got to get a pass rush in the fourth quarter to win tonight.
Gains of 24 and 18. Steelers been battling from behind all night. They were down 17-0. On target, there is Smith-Schuster, who hears some boos as he's tackled by Darqueze Dennard.
Roethlisberger is in his element right now, in complete control. He brought him back to beat Green Bay Sunday night. He brought him back a couple weeks ago. He has ice water in his veins, almost like he relishes these situations.
Yep. He and the Steelers expect something good to happen, and you have to wonder about the psyche of the Bengals. So many times, particularly against the Steelers, they've seen it go the other way. Roethlisberger off the arm of Brown. Looked like the throw was behind him. And here's an enormous 3rd down and 5 with 4:37 to go.
And running the football is not out of the question. Even though it's a critical 3rd and 5, Big Ben's still in a no-huddle offense. He's got 25 seconds on the clock to solve the Bengals and try to get Pittsburgh in the best possible play. Can he do it again in the noise?
They don't get it. It'll be interesting to see 4th and 5 what Mike Tomlin would do with 4:37 to go. 2 timeouts and a 2-minute warning. They are in field goal range. 4-man rush. They don't get close to Ben. There's Jesse James with a first down. And down to the 6-yard line goes the Steeler tight end.
Another huge block by Juju Smith-Schuster. You're going to see Jesse James coming from left to right, but keep an eye on the right side of your screen. 19 with another big block. He is a physical receiver. There is no doubt about that. This time he lays down Darqueze Dennard, 1st and goal. #1 red zone defense in football. Got to prove it now.
Roethlisberger time and on target, and Brown hangs on despite the high hit and the flags flying. It is a touchdown, and they're an extra point away from a tie game.
What an incredible display of guts. It's a slant route. Roethlisberger fires it in there. You're going to see Iloka number 43 with a big hit to the head, and that's a fine. Antonio Brown. As good as I have ever seen.
Ruling on the field is a touchdown. Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 43, defense. That 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
I hate seeing this type of football.
Yeah, it's an ugly night. I think the players need to think, John, about what they're doing to each other, what they're doing to themselves, what they're doing to the image of the league, fan interest.
Spending too much time, Sean, trying to make it right. It's not right. But what a drive by Ben Roethlisberger.
The extra point good by Boswell to tie it. They've come from 17-0 down. 80 yards in 10 plays. And Brown over 100 yards receiving now, 8 catches for 101. This has become one of the most productive duos in the history of the league. Most career completions from quarterback to receiver. Peyton Manning involved in the top 2 with Harrison and Wayne. Number 3 all time with 3 catches yesterday. Gates and Rivers. Breeze and Colston connected 706 times. And then it's these two with 681 on the 8 receptions tonight by the great Antonio Brown. They moved past Jim Kelly and Andre Reed on that list last week.
Oh. 3 personal fouls on that drive. One on Geno Atkins, one on Smith-Schuster, and that one on Iloka.
And with 6 out of 8 on the drive, and now Erickson in trouble on the kickoff return. And Sensabaugh takes him across the far sideline at the 12. Perhaps fitting for the Bengals. It's raining harder than it has all night. There's an injured Bengal down along the near hash marks. Cincinnati has scored just 3 points here in the second half. They're going to have to try to find their offense. They are the lowest scoring second half team in the league this year. Here's Lisa Salters.
Hey, Sean. Well, good news for Vontaze Burfict. They're saying that he's being evaluated for a head injury, and he is out of the game. But I was able to observe back outside of the locker room. They evaluated him for about 5 minutes outside of the locker room. He was still immobilized on the board on the cart. And you could tell that he was trying to get them to unhook those immobilization straps. Finally, the medical staff did unhook the straps. Vontaze jumped up, said, "I keep telling you I'm fine." He walked into the locker room on his own. So that was certainly good to see.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa.
Great news. Got to credit Mike Tomlin, head coach of the Steelers. Down 17-0. You lose a great player like Shazier. His leadership, let me tell you, I've been around a lot of people in my day as a football person. You're not going to meet a lot of guys like this with the grit, the passion, the determination of Tomlin, and he's got to be proud of his men.
No doubt.
And Andy Dalton gets a chance. He's 3-10 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he has played great tonight, but he's going to need some help from his teammates right now.
Without their top rusher, Mixon, out with a concussion. Dalton throws, and it's through the hands of his receiver, A.J. Green.
Second drop in the second half by Green. LaFell dropped one. That's 3 critical drops. It's the same play they ran early. Great timing, anticipation, and ball's wet, no question, but you're a great receiver. You make those catches.
Yeah. And with the hitting in this game, you wonder if guys are a little more conscious of that than going to catch the ball in traffic right now. Bernard, nice hole, stumbles forward, and here's a huge 3rd down for Cincinnati. They need 2 from their own 20-yard line with 3.5 minutes to go.
Plenty of time. And in checks number 12, Alex Erickson. He's kind of a wild card. You see a lot of jet sweeps. You see a lot of crazy reverse schemes when he's in the game. And Steelers still struggling to get their calls in. They're relying on the veteran William Gay, their dime linebacker, who has a lot of experience.
As you can see, Mike Tomlin very much involved with the calling of the defenses. 3rd down and 2 for the Bengals. Just a 3-man rush. And Dalton in trouble, and he'll be sacked back at the 16-yard line. Bud Dupree there with Stephon Tuitt providing some help.
Well, Bud Dupree didn't lose Dalton that time, Sean. Former first-round pick out of Kentucky. Keeps hunting. Stays alive, and it's that second effort performance that I admire in this Steeler defense. All of them play through the whistle. And there's Joey Porter. He was a heck of a player himself.
Yeah, we talk about rules changes made necessary by this rivalry. Of course, after that play with Perfect a couple of years ago, he came out on the field, and the league tightened up its rules about coaches on the field. So at Pittsburgh timeout, they have 1 left, plenty of time, and they should get good field position. Eli Rogers back for the Huber punt. Second straight 3 and out put up by the Pittsburgh defense. Fair catch signal made by Rogers at his own 41-yard line. .42-yard punt.
These men get no credit, Sean, the offensive linemen of the Steelers, but what a job they did on the last possession, pass protecting. Starts with Pouncey, their Pro Bowl center, and Dick Castro, their Pro Bowl guard. Can they do it again for Ben Roethlisberger in a 2020 fourth quarter finish?
We mentioned 2 of the last 3 games they've won on a game-winning field goal at the very end, set up by Roethlisberger's work. Last week against Green Bay, if you watch that game, Antonio Brown made one of the great catches you'll ever see to set up the game-winning field goal. Showing that patience again, and it winds up as a 10-yard gain, or very nearly so. Looks like the official on the far side is going to spot it about a half-yard short of the first down.
Disappears. He stutters and stutters and stutters behind this big offensive line. They lose sight of him. And remember, Vontaze Burfict is not in the game. But he disappears behind his blockers. He keeps his feet alive, and when he sees daylight, he hits it.
Ticking down to the 2-minute warning. Bell on 2nd and less than a yard. First down. That'll take us to the 2-minute warning. And it takes Pittsburgh to the Cincinnati 47-yard line.
Coming up on the GMC postgame report, we will hear from Mike Tomlin about this game, get an update on Ryan Shazier, plus giant shakeup in New York. McAdoo's out, Eli's back in. We'll discuss what's next for the G-men. And a wild comeback for the Warriors. Steph Curry injury, an update on that. For more, the great Sean McDonough. Sean.
All right, John, thank you. Thanks to both the Johns. Look forward to Sports Center after the game. And quite a game it has been. Cincinnati led 17-0 in the first half. Now they're hanging on. 20-20 the score. Pittsburgh on the move again with the second half rally. Ben Roethlisberger's now thrown for 264 yards to take him over 50,000 for his career. He needed 238 to start the night as the 8th quarterback in NFL history to reach 50,000. He's much more concerned about getting the 10th win of the year for the Steelers.
Bengals got a blitz. Got a blitz pretty soon. They can't give away any more yardage.
Bengals rush 4 and an on-target throw. Martavis Bryant. And now they're on certainly the edge of field goal range at the very least for Chris Boswell at the 35-yard line.
Slant route. Ball's thrown perfectly, and they just have so many weapons. Great runner, arsenal of receivers, and a strong offensive line and a quarterback that's incredible.
Bryant did complete the catch. Was struggling to get possession. He did. 1:20 to go. Open. Le'Veon Bell, who runs over the tackler, has the first down. He's inbounds. Dre Kirkpatrick the stop for Cincinnati.
It's a big-time performance by this man, Le'Veon Bell. Almost 200 yards from scrimmage tonight, rushing and receiving, and pleasure watching him play. Franchise tag over $12 million. He's worth it.
He held out throughout the entire preseason, signed that $12 million deal for 1 year, 6 days before their opener. Now
there you go.
Cincinnati does blitz, and it pays off for them as Carl Lawson swings down Bell. And it looks like it may well come down to another last-second field goal off the foot of Boswell, who's won 2 games in the last 3 weeks with last-second field goals and who has never missed a field goal against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Got to protect both edges if you're the Steelers. That time they brought Iloka off one edge, Lawson off the other. Lucky that ball wasn't fumbled. A little surprised they don't bring out all their tight ends. Hand the ball to Bell, center it for Boswell, and get out of here. It'll be Le'Veon Bell, I do believe. Got to be alert for blitzes off the edge if you're Pittsburgh.
From here, about a 44-yard field goal for Boswell. Cincinnati blitzes, throw and catch, and a good tackle by Josh Shaw on his fellow USC Trojan, Juju Smith-Schuster.
Roethlisberger has a lot of confidence in that rookie from USC. It's an all-out blitz and bang, bang play. Sets up a 3rd down and long.
Well, it was a slow start for the Killer Bees, but they've all picked it up to get to at least their usual form. Bell and Brown over 100 yards, rushing and receiving respectively, and Ben Roethlisberger 10 yards away from a 300-yard game, winningest quarterback in Steelers history. 195th regular season start tonight, looking for his 133rd win.
And the only B that's missing is Chris Boswell. Boswell has finished the Colts, the Packers at the buzzer, and tonight he's got a chance to finish the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, Marvin Lewis has used his timeouts, but he can't stop it after this 3rd down. Well, Pittsburgh will likely just try to get in the best position for Boswell, let it all run all the way down, perhaps use their timeout to set up the field goal, and have that be it. Bell loses a yard, and they'll kick it from the right hash mark.
Special teams coach Danny Smith, done it a long time.
Well, break for Pittsburgh here. The rain, which was hard off and on tonight, has slowed down considerably. And as we said, he's never missed a field goal. With the 2 for 2 tonight against the Bengals, including the playoffs, he's 23 for 23.
And the Bengals are going to have to rely on Michael Johnson and Carlos Dunlap. Dunlap, well known for rejecting passes. 6'6", 6'7". You got to get up, time it just right, and perhaps reject this kick.
For the season, Boswell's made 27 out of 30 field goals. Had a terrific year in his 3rd year. Punter, Barry is the holder. This is a 43-yard try. Looked like they were offside.
Another penalty.
And it'll make it 5 yards closer.
Offside number 26, defense. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
That's a terrible penalty. And they have broken the franchise yardage record, and that puts an exclamation point on it. Shaw, left side of your screen. You have a chance to make this a 43-yard field goal. Now it's 38.
Barry had a little trouble with the snap. Now that might have been because he was cognizant of the false start.
$173 yards in penalties for Cincinnati.
Oswald made contact on the follow-through. Doesn't appear to be in any distress. So now a 38-yard field goal to win the game for Pittsburgh. And it is good. He's done it again. And the Steelers have done it again to the Cincinnati Bengals. A dramatic come from behind victory on a very difficult night for Mike Tomlin and Marvin Lewis. Ugly game in many ways, but an important victory for the Steelers. And they go to 10-2 with their 7th straight win. And Boswell is Mr. Clutch. They outscore the Bengals 13-0 in the 4th quarter and take their only lead of the night at the final gun. Here's Lisa Salters.
Thank you very much. Ben, how would you explain just kind of the viciousness and the brutality of this game?
AFC North football.
That's it?
Yep.
It was clear when Ryan Shazier went down that it was pretty serious. How did that affect you guys?
Well, he's one of the leaders of that defense, play caller. It's a physical football game. Prayers and thoughts are with everybody that got hurt. There were a lot of injuries tonight. So prayers and thoughts really go out to everybody that got hurt, their families, because I know there's a lot of worried people out there.
What have they told you guys about Ryan?
I don't know anything yet, so that's why I think we're kind of all excited to get in there to find out what's going on.
Now, how did you guys recover? Like, how were you able to deal with all of that, come back out of the locker room and do what you did?
You know, there's never any quit by this team. We always kind of joke, but we're serious with no panic. And it's a good football team coming in here on a hostile night. Weather wasn't the best, but we never fought. We never got down on ourselves. You know, we continue to fight, and just really proud of the way the guys fought all the way through it.
Now, what does this mean for next week? You got Baltimore. Things are setting up the way you wanted to. Where do you go from here?
More AFC North football. You know, we got a short week, obviously, so we got to prepare for a really, really good football team, and especially a really good defense.
Thank you, Ben. Congratulations on the win. Our prayers to Ryan.
Thanks, Lisa. Appreciate it.
Back to you, Sean.
Yeah, well done, Lisa. And obviously more prayers on the field. So the Steelers beat the Bengals for the 6th straight time. Ben on the last 2 drives was 9 for 11. 23-20 the final. GMC postgame on SportsCenter next for John and Lisa. Sean McDonough, good night. From Cincinnati, now John Anderson, a preview of what you can expect to see on SportsCenter.